And hello, everyone. We are here for our Wednesday night, May 6th show. It's titled Delphi More Chomos in Indiana Breaking News. So stay tuned. We'll get everything together and we'll be back momentarily. Welcome in. Okay, we are here, and wow, I got to tell you, it's been a long day. It's been a long week, and you don't understand the amount of preparation it took to get everything together and on deck for you tonight. So hopefully we don't crash here because boy, this is a doozy. There is so much to bring to you tonight. Um, it looks like, mm, I would say, the federal task forces that are aiming at these predators are are really kicking things into high gear. As It's a New Day pointed out, there's been child predator busts in Indiana almost every single day. It's becoming a daily occurrence, and we're really glad to see that. And so tonight, I uh, I went along with the help of someone and dug up um, some of the most concerning cases, and I wanted to present to you some of these tonight because I think, I want everyone to get a good handle on what's going on here. And I think it's important that you see some of this. So we're going to be looking at this stuff tonight. And yeah, I hope you guys, I changed the setup around quite a bit here. And so things are quite a bit different here. But I hope you like the thumbnail. Um, The thumbnail tonight shows you that there are potential Dropbox connections, Snapchat connections, Kick connections, 764 connections, and Crank connections. That's the 213 cult. And so, yeah, so the thumbnail's pretty interesting, and the content tonight will be very concerning. So, trigger warning for any of you with kind of a weak constitution who can't stomach it. You might not want to watch this one, but it's pretty disgusting. But there's been a lot of movement lately. Um, so we're going to look at some of that. And this will be sort of a follow up. I don't know if you guys remember my show not too long ago, several months ago with Noe, when Noe came out and we whistle blew on the Chomos of Indiana. And so this will be sort of a part two. So let me see if I can. Well, I'll leave it for later. Maybe Deb can find it. But we have a show with Noe where we exposed the Indiana Chomos. It's particularly the ones he came out of the Wabash County Hyatt Regency with information on. And so this will be sort of a follow up on that because these are some new things that we found. And anyhow, while you guys are here, please hit the like. We're going to be getting started. Hit the like, share this, get it out to everyone. And of course, for those of you who are new, subscribe. Please subscribe. Um, there's pretty interesting things. And I got a really interesting update. I have a plan um, for the other channel. Okay, the other channel will be changing uh, quite significantly. So what I'm going to be doing with the other channel is I'm going to be shifting to financial news coverage because here we do news coverage, and I figured, I'm very interested in the finances and financial markets, and so what I'm going to be doing on that backup channel is is branching out and doing some things over there. And I'm going to take all the Delphi content off of there and kind of venture out into that stuff. So we'll have sort of a two-part thing going. But anyhow, I'm glad to see everyone here. Let me say hi to those who are here at the moment before we get too far into it, because I'll be ignoring you for the most part once I get reading. There's a lot to read. It looks like we have Carol's here. What's up, Carol? Prefer Baby Daddy, Swade Smith, Monday. Okay. Deb's here. Hello, Deb. T-Bone. Dennis McKean. Peachy26. Court of Public Opinion. Mustang. Nicole Watt. Moonbeam 70s Child. Four Pit Bulls Across America. Aries Fire. It's a New Day. Hey, I just talked about you. Artist formerly known. Caden Christian. Elizabeth Jones. Great to see everyone. Christopher. Great to see you. Did I catch everyone in the live chat? I am not sure, but welcome to the live chat, everyone. Glad to see you here. Enjoy the live chat. Bonnie's here. Hello, Bonnie. So we're going to start tonight with a very interesting story. So let me bring this up really quick. Let's see. Where is it? All right, check this one out. Tonight's leading story, before we get into the Chomos, is pretty interesting because it's a sexual predator, but not a Chomo. But check this one out here. It says DNA match leads to arrest a 51-year-old man in a decade-long serial grape case. Okay. Okay. IMPD, alongside the FBI, Marion County Prosecutor's Office, and the Indianapolis Marion County Forensic Services Agency, say 51-year-old Lionel Catlin's DNA matched evidence collected in multiple rape investigations dating back to 2013. We are going to file 30 charges against the defendant. Many of these charges are the most serious charges that we're able to file in the state of Indiana. Marion County Prosecutor Ryan Mears stated. Okay. Interesting name, right? Ryan Mears. Investigators say Catlin is a suspect in 5 separate home invasion sexual assaults occurring in apartment complexes that investigators believe Catlin lived near. The assaults happened between 2013 and 2024. The suspect's DNA was not in CODIS at the time. While we knew these crimes were connected, we did not know who was responsible, Kendall Adams, IMPD Deputy Chief of Investigators or Investigations, said. The FBI believes Catlin was here illegally. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, collected his DNA as part of an ICE raid. okay, which was then put into CODIS. On April 21st, the crime lab in Indianapolis received a detainee hit associated with the profile and contacted the FBI to confirm the man's identity. The next day, the crime lab confirmed his identity to IMPD. It was rushed through by the FBI, believe it or not. Okay, IMPD found Catlin at a relative's home, and he was quickly taken into custody. Police suspect there could be more victims. If there are any other victims that may have not come forward yet, we would encourage them to get a hold of law enforcement so that we can continue to investigate these rapes. Charges against Catlin included rape, kidnapping, burglary, and strangulation. Yes, strangulation, some carrying 20 to 50-year sentences. The thing to me that stands out is just the incredible strength and resiliency about these victims, Mears said. Okay, so here's another one. This one says, today, Indianapolis Metro Police say they have identified a serial rapist who allegedly targeted women on the city's north side for more than a decade. Police say 51-year-old Lionel Catlin Torreblanca had been preying on his victims as far back as 2013. Okay. Catlin Torreblanca was arrested on April 23rd after police linked his DNA to evidence left behind in a 2024 rape, according to the Marion County Prosecutor's Office. Catlin Torreblanca's mugshot isn't releasable at this time due to the ongoing investigation. Interesting, right? Isn't that interesting? His initial hearing connected to the latest charges have not been scheduled. The latest report assault happened in January 24th of 2024 at the Lodge at Trails Edge Complex. Okay, according to court documents. Here's your suspect sketches of the guy over a 10-year period. Pretty interesting, huh? Pretty interesting. Hey, that looks like someone else I know in this community. Wonder if they got the wrong guy. In all, investigators say Catlin Torreblanca's DNA came back to a match. I mean, as a match to at least five. Okay, his DNA came back to five sexual assault investigation rape kits. Okay, five rape kit hits. And that's March 2013 at Ashton Brook Apartments, June 2015 at Ashton Brook Apartments, September 2016 at Carlisle Court Apartments, October 16 and 9000 block of Guilford, and January 24 at the Lodge at Trails Edge Apartments. All of these assaults happened in a small area north of 86th Street, just to the south of 96th Street, within College Avenue. College bordering to the west and Monon Trail to the east. Oh, what a coincidence. What a coincidence. Look at this. College Avenue to the west. And look at this, Monon Trail to the east. Can you guys believe that? And you can see there on the map a timeline 2013, 2015, 2016, 2016, 2024, all in the same part of town. Monon Trail to the east. These are the five sexual assaults with DNA linking the same suspect. Okay? Between this 10-year period or 11-year period. There's your map. That's all five that show the DNA match. Okay, according to the Marion County Prosecutor's Office, DNA evidence linked the cases together, but that DNA did not match any known offender in law enforcement databases. And the suspect's identity was unknown. On April 21st, the Indianapolis Marion County Forensic Services Agency got a detainee match from immigration officials, ICE, with the DNA profile from the rapes. The following day, FBI confirmed the suspect identity as Catlin Torreblanca. FBI Special Agent in Charge, Timothy O'Malley, remember him from the other day, confirmed Catlin Torreblanca was in the country illegally when the crimes happened. Illegally when the crimes happened. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
All right. Within 4 hours of IMPD investigators being notified, the Violent Crimes Unit located Catlin Torreblanca at a relative's house and took him into custody. Okay? So I wanted us to get that press conference. Remember, this was today. This was earlier today. So let's take a moment now and check this out from earlier today.
All right, well, thank you to everyone for being here today. We certainly appreciate it. My name is Ryan Mears. I'm the Marion County Prosecutor, and the Marion County Prosecutor's Office is announcing that we have filed 30 charges today involving an allegation involving a serial rape case that has taken place here in Marion County over the span of a number of years. The first incident that is described in the probable cause affidavit occurred in 2013. The final incident occurred in 2024. As a result of that investigation, we are going to file 30 charges against the defendant. Many of those charges are the most serious charges that
30 charges coming your way, buddy. 30 fucking charges.
Legally blind.
we are able to file in the state of Indiana. They involve level 1 felonies, which carry range of penalty from 20 to 40 years. And this is actually also under the old code in 2013, which would be an A felony, which is 20 to 50 years. So we are talking about a significant level of punishment that is potentially out there based on the charges that are filed today. Just briefly about the facts, this is one of those cases, and the allegations contained in the probable cause affidavit are absolutely horrifying. We have completely innocent victims who were attacked and had to endure just unspeakable things. And unfortunately, it was not limited to just one individual. We had multiple victims who were involved in this case who had to suffer through just a very traumatic set of experiences. The thing to me that stands out about this case is just the incredible strength and resiliency about these victims. We are talking with individuals who had to endure this in 2013, and because we were able to get a DNA CODIS hit, they were then contacted by the detectives. They were asked to relive literally the worst moment of their life, and every single one of these victims came forward, provided us with information, and put us in a position that we were able to file today's charges. And so I think today is also a testament to the strength and will of so many survivors that we have in our community. And we are here because they were willing to come forward and provide us with information not only 12, 13 years ago, but also have that follow-up conversation with law enforcement today, which is something that I know everybody in this room is just incredibly grateful for that level of support. The other thing is this case was pending for some time, and we had a lot of good information in terms of a pretty good physical description. We knew who we were looking for, and we knew all the cases were linked. The Marion County Crime Lab was a tremendous partner in terms of telling us, hey, we think we are looking for the same individuals. When you began this investigation, it was also very clear that all of these incidents occurred in essentially the same geographic location. And very recently, thanks to our friends at the FBI and our federal partners, we were able to get a CODIS hit where we were able to link all of these individuals together. We were able to identify a suspect, and as a result of that identification, we're in a position to make today's charging decision and to walk you through kind of the investigative process. I'll turn it over to Chief Kendall Adams.
Thank you, Prosecutor Mears. I want to begin by acknowledging the pain and trauma that many of our neighbors have endured. This is a kind of trauma that can stay with someone for their entire life. And today, we keep those survivors at the center of our thoughts. Their courage and their willingness to work with law enforcement is the reason we stand here today. So how did we get here? As you heard, in March 2013, we believe the suspect committed his first sexual assault and his second in June of 2015. Incidents 3 and 4 occurred in September and October of 2016, and most recently, as Prosecutor Mayer said, January of 2024. For more than a decade, our investigators have worked to identify the suspect responsible for these series of horrific crimes. Over the years, DNA profiles from each of the cases were entered into CODIS, which is an acronym for Combined DNA Index System. These profiles link to each other, confirming the same suspect was responsible. However, they did not match to any known offender in the system, and the suspect remained unidentified. That is because the suspect's DNA was not in CODIS at the time. While we knew these crimes were connected, we did not know who was responsible. For years, detectives worked alongside local and federal partners, pursuing every lead in an effort to identify this individual. That all changed about 2 weeks ago. On April 21st, 2016, the Indianapolis Marion County Forensic Service Agency, commonly referred to as the Crime Lab, received a hit connecting the DNA profile to a series of cases, immediately contacted the FBI to confirm the individual's identity. Given the severity of these crimes, the request was expedited by the FBI, and on April 22nd, the FBI confirmed the suspect's identity and notified the lab and IMPD investigators. Once that confirmation came in, an IMPD homicide analyst moved quickly to create an intelligence packet for our violent crimes unit. Within 4 hours, the IMPD Violent Crimes Unit located the suspect and took him into custody on April 22nd, 2026 at a relative's house. That was the same day we got his identity. My hope is that today marks the beginning of healing and a step forward closure for these survivors and our community. We would not be here without the partnership between the FBI, the lab, and the Marion County Prosecutor's Office, and the dedicated officers and detectives who never gave up the pursuit of justice. And while this arrest cannot erase the harm that was done, it does send a clear message. We will never stop working to identify those responsible and hold them accountable. I would also like to recognize the following detectives and deputy prosecutor who worked tirelessly that has led to today's announcement of formal charging. Detective Chris Edwards, Detective Dave Everman, Sergeant Jason Bachting, Detective Noel Reyes, and Captain Bill Carter, and Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Jeff Canote. All these individuals helped get this case across the finish line. I will now turn it over to Special Agent in Charge, Tim O'Malley with the FBI.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tim O'Malley. I'm the Special Agent in Charge of the FBI's Indianapolis Field Office. First, I want to recognize...
You guys remember him? We just heard from him last week, didn't we? We just heard from him last week on the Greek Mafia bust that I covered in my previous live stream. The Greek Mafia, the Rico Greek Mafia bust, who we now know has ties, by the way, to, we've been working behind the scenes. So this bust that I announced last week by this guy, okay, this Greek Mafia bust, it has ties to Tampa, Florida, okay, Florida, Hollywood, Florida, Tampa, Florida, right? Florida, Boston, New York, Chicago, it's part of the Chicago outfit, right? Ohio, Indiana, California, and Arizona. But everyone acted like it was a nothing burger. And we're going to be talking more about that shit as the shit hits the fan, because everyone is seeming like they're trying to ignore that story. But for those of you who missed it, I recommend that you go back to my previous live stream called Major Rico Bust in Indiana, Greek Mafia Bust, and check that out, because information is developing and it's turning out to be more significant than we actually thought. Okay, it's turning out to be a bigger story than it appears. So I highly recommend everyone go watch the previous live stream, Major Rico Bust in Indiana, Greek Mafia Bust, tied to the Chicago outfit and the Gambinos over in the East Coast. All right, moving on.
The survivors of these crimes. Coming forward to report crimes like this takes a tremendous amount of courage and bravery. And because of that bravery and courage, we have the results that we have achieved today. This investigation also shows what's possible through partnerships, through law enforcement partnerships and having the tools necessary to solve crimes like this. When law enforcement partners work side by side and stay committed, even the most complex cases can be solved. In this case, the FBI worked closely with IMPD, the Marion County Prosecutor's Office, and the Marion County Crime Lab. And through the use of investigative tools like investigative genealogy, the FBI's CODIS database, we're able to identify a suspect connected to these sexual assaults. Let me be clear, this work was conducted carefully within the strict legal guidelines and privacy guidelines. Genetic genealogy, the CODIS database, DNA are very powerful tools when we use them deliberately and carefully. And we use these primarily in cases of serious violent crime, when other methodologies have not produced results. What's important, though, what I want to say is that during this investigation, every step was done carefully and correctly, and that diligence was ultimately allowed us to identify a suspect and move forward with this case. At the end of the day, the case was about public safety, it's about holding someone accountable, and it's about providing answers to the survivors. I want to thank our law enforcement partners. This outcome would not have been possible without the collaboration. And finally, I want to ask anyone out there who has additional information on this case or other related cases to please come forward. This case is a testament to those who do come forward and produce results. So thank you.
And with that, we're happy to take any questions. I did just want to highlight our friends at the Crime Lab who are standing with us here today, who just did absolutely incredible work through the pendency of this case, not only linking all of the various DNA profiles, but we asked them to follow up. They're able to tell us, based on the description that we had, we knew that we were looking for an individual, and they were able to provide information that aided us in every step of the investigative process. So thank you again for all the effort, not only in the last couple of weeks, but over the course of many years to make sure we were in a position to make today's announcement. So with that, happy to take any questions.
What was the suspect's connection to like all of these apartment complexes?
Yeah, so all these, we believe the suspect may have lived up there. I don't know the exact connection to the apartment complexes, but we believe he resided up in that area.
You think he's connected to any, linked to at least 5? There's suspicion he might be involved in any more cases?
There is that suspicion, and that's, as Zach talked about, if there are other victims that may not have come forward yet, we would encourage them to get a hold of law enforcement so that we can continue to investigate. We're going to continue to investigate. There's some other cases out there that are still we're not sure about. So, but this case is, and this individual for these cases today is connected to these, but there may be others.
And just to follow up on that, I mean, I think it's important to note that in every sexual assault case, you're not necessarily going to have a DNA profile where you can do a comparison. And so, just to everybody out there who, maybe they didn't come forward, or maybe we didn't have the DNA evidence. If people have information, or if they think they have information that's related to one of these cases or another case that's potentially out there, we want to encourage people to contact law enforcement. And the great thing about Chief Adams' commitment is they're going to go through and look through those cases, maybe where we don't have the DNA hit. If there are similarities, to see, hey, are there additional charges, or are there different cases that can potentially be filed. And so I think there's a lot of follow-up that's going to continue to be done on this type of case.
So you're saying he wasn't in essentially a DNA database? Is that what Codex is? So does he not have any prior criminal history, or do you need to have a sexual assault case to be linked up with that database?
So the reason he wasn't in the database initially is his criminal history was only a misdemeanor. So he had a DUI misdemeanor arrest, and when you get a misdemeanor arrest, they don't take a DNA swab, and you're not entered into the database.
So is he from Indianapolis? Where is he from?
I'm not entirely sure exactly where he's from originally.
Do we know what his immigration status was during the time of his crime?
I believe he was here without legal status.
Was, if if his DNA wasn't in the system, in this case, we're all connected, and you have the DNA, but you didn't know who he was, how did his DNA end up in the system? I'd be able to link to it.
Yeah, there was an ICE collection, Immigration Customs Enforcement collection, that ultimately allowed his profile to be put into the Code of State.
ICE
or in
collection.
Progress, there was an attempted break-in that I covered in that same apartment complex 4 days before his hit on DNA. Has there been any connection yet, if there's any suspicion that he might have been the person trying to break into that apartment?
As we said earlier, the investigation continues. And so all of that information is important. And so if someone has information, we ask them to come forward.
We'll take one more question.
I just want to also recognize a few of the detectives that are actually in the back of the room that actually I mentioned earlier in my comments. Detective Bogdan, Detective Carter, Captain Carter, and Major McAllister, who ran the point on tracking the suspect down with the immediacy that we got him into custody that same day. So I do want to acknowledge their presence here today, too.
To be clear, does he have an ICE detainer against him right now?
I think right now it's just being held on a standard bond associated with the criminal charges.
Bond was 20,000 cash, is that going to be up?
We're filing a motion for greater than standard bonds based on the additional evidence that was presented today.
Thank you.
All right, enough of that. Enough of that. So that was your update for today's breaking news on the serial offender who has been apprehended as a result of these DNA hits. We'll be keeping track of that because I would assume there's going to be many more. They only matched 5. There's probably more victims that they have already identified. And like they're saying, there's probably several victims that have not come forward because they say here that the first offense is in 2013. Guys just don't start doing this, okay? You just don't start this. This is going to go back to this guy's entire lifetime. So they're probably going to find or identify other victims. Now it depends on when he arrived because he's an illegal immigrant, right? So who knows when he arrived to the area? If he arrived to the area in 2013, then that would make sense. But if he arrived in the area in the early 2000s or in the late 90s, you would expect that they would find more going further back in time. So that's that. Now let's move on to the content for tonight's show. The more Chomos in Indiana. Okay. So there's more breaking news. Okay. And we're going to go into this one now. So we'll get rid of all this stuff. Okay. And we're going to bring this up. Where is it? Let's see. All right, so this says Fishers Police Department, okay? Fishers Police Department. Fishers Police say information released on behalf of the Hamilton County ICAC Task Force. The Hamilton County Metro ICAC Task Force was active this past weekend, making arrests in multiple counties, including Michael Roberts Jr. in Hancock County and Richard Grow in Madison County. More information is provided below. Michael Roberts Jr. On May 1st, Michael Roberts Jr. was arrested on 32 felony counts related to child sex crimes, including child exploitation, a level 4 felony. See all charges below. Roberts, a resident of Greenwood, Indiana. Oh, that sounds familiar. No, I'm sorry, Greenfield, Indiana. My apologies. Roberts, a resident of Greenfield, was investigated by the Hamilton County Metro ICAC Task Force after receiving multiple cyber tips from NCMEC. Sounds familiar? Okay, once again, this is a Chomo who was handed in by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. That's top down, okay? This isn't your local cops pulling this off. This is your federal investigation and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children Task Force sending it on down. Okay, now check this out. This is where it gets interesting and ties into Libby and Abby, because the cyber tips submitted by Kick. Okay, remember, these girls were on Kick. Okay, they were using Kick. Okay, the cyber tips submitted by Kick. Remember that we've already demonstrated several episodes of Kick being used by these Chomos over the cases we reviewed the past couple years. Okay, these cyber tips were submitted by Kick, showed over 60 CSAM images involving prepubescent children. Okay, prepubescence. Detectives with the Hamilton County Metro ICAC Task Force served a search warrant on the suspect's Kick account. Okay, his Kick account, where hundreds of images of child sex abuse material and bestiality were located. After a search warrant was served on the suspect's residence, numerous additional images of suspected CSAM were located, along with the evidence that the suspect was using AI to create CSAM. Okay, Roberts is being held at the Hancock County Jail. All right, now moving on to Richard Groh. On May 1st, Richard Groh was arrested on 2 counts of possession of CSAM, a level 5 felony. Groh, a resident of Anderson, Indiana, was investigated by the Hamilton County Metro ICAC Task Force after detectives conducted an investigation on offenders who were sharing. What does sharing sound like? Distribution of CSAM. Detectives with Hamilton County Metro ICAC Task Force discovered that Groh shared over 150 images of CSAM online. The majority of these images were of prepubescent children. After a search warrant was served on the suspect's residence, over 2,000 additional images of suspected CSAM were located. 2,000 additional images to the original 150. Okay? Are you guys getting why I'm reading these? The task force is comprised of detectives from Fishers Police Department, Carmel Police Department, Westfield, Noblesville, Greenfield, Anderson, Hamilton County, Madison County, Homeland Security Investigations. Task force focuses on internet crimes against children and investigates child exploitation cases in Hamilton, Hancock, Madison, and Tipton counties. Look at these 2 guys, right? Michael Roberts, Richard Groh. That's your guys right there. This was May 5th, yesterday. Okay, this is from yesterday. So let's move on and look a little closer at these for you guys. All right. Anderson man arrested after thousands of CSAM files found at his home. Okay? An Anderson man was taken into custody earlier this month after he was found to have thousands of suspected files of CSAM. According to court documents, 63-year-old Richard Groh was charged with 2 counts of possession of child sex abuse material, each a level 5 felony. Okay? And that's your guy, Richard Groh. Okay? This comes after Groh was investigated by the Hamilton County Metro ICAC Task Force during an operation surrounding individuals who were allegedly sharing child sex abuse material online, according to the release. Again, this smells like distribution to me, or the Dropbox. Law enforcement officials stated in the release that the task force discovered that Groh shared more than 150 images of CSAM online, the majority of which were prepubescent. Okay, he possessed 2,000 more, remember. Court documents indicated that investigators used an IP address to link the initial files to Groh's computer. Officials said in the release that this led to a search warrant being served on Groh's home, where more than 2,000 additional images of CSAM were located. In an interview with law enforcement, Groh said he learned how to use BitTorrent software because he wanted to pirate video game Far Cry 6. When asked if he had anything illegal on his laptop, he reportedly said he had downloaded gigabytes of child pornography. This is a confession. Okay? Gigabytes. And here's your other guy. Here's this other guy, okay? Check him out. 42-year-old man faces several counts of felony child molesting. Oh, sorry, I skipped over. Okay, I skipped over. Let's just cover this while we're at it. We'll come back to the other guy. Okay, look at this guy now. This is 42-year-old man facing several counts of felony child molesting. April 30th. Okay, a week ago. This is a week ago. Look at this guy. Okay, look at this guy. Daniel Zimmerman. Daniel Zimmerman. Okay, Daniel Zimmerman. Look at the guy. A 42-year-old man, Daniel Zimmerman, is facing multiple counts of felony child molesting stemming from incidents in 2021 and 2025. The suspect, Daniel Zimmerman, is charged with 2 counts of child molesting as level 1 felonies and 3 counts of child molesting as level 4 felonies. Zimmerman's initial hearing was April 29th. His jury trial is scheduled for August 3rd. According to the probable cause affidavit, the Elkhart County Sheriff's Office received a report on February 1st, 2021, that Zimmerman had molested an 8-year-old girl. Okay. The report was made by a staff member at the victim's school. The employee told authorities that the victim appeared tired that day, so they spoke with her and learned Zimmerman had allegedly touched her inappropriately in her bed. When interviewed, the victim told investigators that Zimmerman had touched her a few times with an open hand over her clothes. On August 6, 2025, the sheriff's office once again received report that Zimmerman had once again been molesting the victim, the same victim. A witness reported he discovered concerning texts between the victim and his daughter, who are good friends. The text indicated Zimmerman was molesting the victim again. So on August 7th of 2025, the victim was interviewed. The victim informed investigators Zimmerman would spoon her with his pants down and touch her inappropriately. This includes Zimmerman allegedly touching her genitals. The victim said she would tell Zimmerman to stop, but he wouldn't stop right away. Okay? Daniel Zimmerman. There he is. So here on my case, you see on my case, Daniel Zimmerman filed 4/16/2026. Okay? You see he has child molest, felony 1, felony 1. He's got 3 felony 4, okay? Apparently he's out on bond. Okay? Check this out. Order of protection. Bond form. Surety bond entered. So here we go with a Chomo, $500,000 surety bond by Diana Robinson and the United States Fire Insurance Company. Zimmerman. All right. Something else. Something else. Thank you. It's a new day for the $2 super sticker saying, or super chat saying, thanks for all your work, Prof. Thanks for all your work. It's a new day. Hey, listen, I owe you a thanks for some of what we're going to look at tonight, too. So just a moment. We'll be getting there. All right. So there you go. There you go. United States Fire Insurance Company. Bond form. Surety bond entered. 5/5/2026. Was that yesterday? Was that yesterday? All right. Now back to this initial thing here. Remember this guy, Michael Roberts? So I want you guys, we're going to move into Michael Roberts. Now check out Michael Roberts here. State of Indiana versus Michael Roberts. Okay. Check this one out here. Defendant Michael Roberts. Okay. Look at these charges. Child pornography possession, F5. Child exploitation, F4. On and on and on. Now look how many we got here. 32 charges. Aggravating factor, child exploit, bestiality. Okay, see here, bestiality. Bestiality. Possession, child exploit, aggravating factors, child exploit, aggravating factors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Possession. More child exploit, aggravating factors. So here we have this mixture of bestiality, child exploit, CSAM possession. Okay. Greenfield man arrested on dozens of CSAM bestiality charges. A Greenfield man has been arrested on a slew of CSAM and bestiality charges. Michael Roberts Jr. is facing 32 different charges, including child exploitation, aggravating factor, possession of CSAM, and bestiality. Booking photo of Michael Roberts Jr. provided by the Hancock County Jail. That's your guy there. Okay, that's your guy. Well, let's dig into this a little. Investigators received cyber tips, right? According to court documents, a detective who was working with the Hamilton County Metro Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force observed 2 cyber tips submitted by the messaging app Kik in reference to one of its users possessing, manufacturing, and or distributing child sex abuse material. Between the 2 cyber tips, a combined 65 files were uploaded that included CSAM or bestiality. 65 files uploaded to Kik. Investigators were able to subpoena Comcast to track an IP address tied to some of the files, which led them to Roberts, who was living in Greenfield, according to court documents. A search warrant was granted to investigators to search through 2 different Kik accounts associated with the previous mentioned cyber tips. While combing through evidence, authorities uncovered 412 images and videos in a content folder, with the vast majority containing CSAM. Additional files included a selfie of Roberts and images or videos containing bestiality. A second Kik account contained 266 files, also including CSAM, bestiality, and photographs of Roberts. Okay, so what do we have here? we have 678 images or videos, 678 files, including CSAM, bestiality, and selfies of Roberts. Puppy as a partner. Court documents detail how an account that was traced back to Roberts included messages regarding his interest in animals and how a dog could help him out. One instance mentions that Roberts was allegedly looking for breeders and a puppy to raise as his partner. More messages detail how he wished he was lucky as some of the parents from his work, as he said they got blessed with hot and slutty daughters. Per court records, Roberts also mentioned in messages that he makes his own AI photographs. Sounds familiar? That are completely uncensored. He added that he sent messages about young girls and their moms. Court documents go on to state that Roberts reportedly met a girl in virtual reality, VR, who allegedly said she was 19 years old. She later revealed to Roberts that she was in fact only 14 years old. However, messages reveal that Roberts said he would have stayed with her, but caught her cheating on him. Messages between Roberts and another individual show that he wanted to create a family with them to molest. Court documents stated that he described in great detail what he would do if that happened, including details about sex acts with the family dog. In the second Kick account, one message says, "We can grow our own playful family. When our daughter is old enough, I can get her pregnant." Further messages show that Roberts created the CSAM content he posted with an AI program he said he coded. Court documents indicate that it took him 2 years to get it to where it is now. Roberts was interviewed on September 30th, 2025. Investigators took Roberts in for questioning at his place of employment. Court documents said that he confirmed that the two email addresses linked to the Kick accounts were his. He also indicated that he thought the chats he was in were all fantasy and did not believe there was any intent behind his words. He also admitted to using an app to generate his own images, but told investigators he had since deleted it and didn't know if there would be any cached images on his devices still. Court documents indicate he showed investigators how he created the images. He showed the investigators how he created the images, and they reportedly would generate an image from nothing. He also told detectives that he took a video of his cat performing sex acts on him. Robert's cats were reportedly taken into a local animal shelter for their safety. During his conversation with the police, Roberts maintained that he had never had any intent and that he would never harm a child. Yeah, right. Thousands, okay, here you go, y'all. Thousands of additional files of CSAM content were found on Roberts' computer. He was arrested and booked into Hancock County Jail on Friday. Thousands more. So remember, we were already up to 768 or so. Okay. They get his computer, they find thousands more.
Oh my God! Bruh.
All right. Moving on to another Chomo from Carmel, Indiana. Now check this one out. So, all right, guys. So obviously, we're looking at the past handful of months, okay? We're looking at the past handful of months in Indiana at the huge arrest, not just the little arrest, but the real big ones. All of these individuals end up possessing hundreds to thousands of CSAM files on their devices. So I wanted to show you this one because a lot of people don't know about this one. This one is from March 31st, okay? For March 31st, Carmel Man had hundreds to thousands of CSAM files depicting infants and bestiality. Now, this is another guy. Okay? This is another guy. Carmel, Indiana. A Carmel man is facing multiple charges after police allegedly discovered multiple photos and videos depicting child sex abuse material on his electronic devices. According to court documents, Ian Altenhoff has been preliminarily charged with 8 counts of possession of child pornography and 2 counts of possession of CSAM. Each charge is a level 5 felony. And that's your guy right there. The investigation into Ian Altenhoff began in April 2025 when a detective working for the Hamilton County Metro Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force received 8 cyber tips provided by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. You seeing a pattern here? This is coming from up top, coming on down to the local cops, right? Top down enforcement here. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children sent 8 cyber tips. These cyber tips highlighted an IP address and email account that detectives eventually traced to Altenhoff. The detective reviewed several files outlined in the initial cyber tips and determined they contained CSAM. According to court documents, Altenhoff uploaded CSAM files via his Discord and Kick accounts. Boo, 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 boo.
Oh my God!
Bruh. Are you guys seeing a pattern? Are we starting to sense a pattern here between Discord, Kick, AI, and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children here? Detectives reportedly discovered additional CSAM files when searching through Altenhoff's iPhone and iPad. Several of the videos also depicted bestiality and content involving the sexual abuse of children and infants. On August 12th, 2025, detectives executed search warrants at addresses in the 500 block of Trammell Court and 12,000 block of Bay Hill Drive in Carmel. Although detectives determined that Altenhoff had several of the CSAM files in his possession before he turned 18 in 2024, they uncovered evidence that he continued to allegedly obtain new CSAM content after becoming an adult. Police noted, listen to this one. Police noted that hundreds to thousands of files containing CSAM were found when searching through Altenhoff's accounts and electronic devices, according to court documents. Hundreds to thousands. Online court records indicate that Altenhoff is scheduled to appear in Hamilton Superior Court on August 4th for a jury trial. Records also show that Altenhoff was arrested on March 27th with an active arrest warrant. He was released from jail on Monday after he posted his $150,000 bond. He was released. He was released.
This is bullshit, Alado. Bruh.
It was our job to help law enforcement. It was our job to help law enforcement.
Bruh.
We got another one released. Release after posting $150,000 bond. Lieutenant Baker with the Hamilton County Metro Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force shared the following statement. The Hamilton County Metro ICAC Task Force remains dedicated to protecting children by releasing the Chomos and holding perpetrators accountable by letting them bond out, said Baker. Every day, our investigators work tirelessly to identify those who exploit and harm the most vulnerable members of our community. Okay. So that is your Chomo. Ian Altenhoff, now released on bond by the law enforcement in Indiana. Apparently, he's safe to go. He's cleared. he's been covered. All right, now that was just setting the stage. Okay, that was just for a little context for you, because what you're going to see now is absolutely appalling. Absolutely appalling. And I guess we're starting to get to the heart of the show now, because it only gets worse. Remember, I said before, this is Delphi. It only gets worse. All right. Let's see. See how ready I am for this. All right, you ready for this? Chicago Tribune. Okay. Chicago Tribune, Wednesday, May 6th. This was published April 28th. April 28th, Post Tribune writes, ex-Dyer Seminary School vice president gets 15 years for child porn. A federal judge sentenced former Dyer Seminary School marketing executive to 15 years for child pornography. Okay. Michael Dekinga, 42, pled guilty in January to distribution of child pornography. Distribution.
Oh my God!
After prison, he will have to serve another 15 years on supervised release and pay $50,000 in restitution to the victims. Federal law requires inmates to serve 85% of their sentence with good behavior. It was a very challenging case, U.S. District Judge Philip Simon said. The Kinga had a compulsion and lived an inexplicable dual life. As a self-proclaimed Christian with their wife and 7 children, he lived an outwardly normal life in Dyer, Indiana, while working for Mid-America Reformed Seminary for nearly a decade. Federal prosecutors allege he traded child porn online in the Kick app. There it is again. In the Kick app for at least 5 years and had sexually explicit conversations online with at least a dozen minors on Kick. Once again, Kick. This guy's child pornography victims, at least one who is now a young adult, could never really escape what happened to them. Assistant U.S. Attorney Emily Morgan said the courtroom was packed not only with Dekinga's friends and family, but with neighbors who turned against him after his arrest, rightfully so. 2 neighbors had planned to speak in court during the hearing, but that plan was scuttled after objections from Dekinga's defense lawyer, Peter Boyles, since they weren't victims. Since Boyles wasn't immediately prepared to cross-examine them, which would have rescheduled the hearing, Morgan tabled their testimony. After the hearing, the men said they saw a convoy of police cars in the block as they took children to the bus stop on the first day of school back in August. Dekinga was in his front yard sipping coffee and calmly talking to the police, said Andre Mikroot, who said he didn't know Dekinga well and helped organize a letter writing campaign to federal court. It didn't look like someone who blew up his family. The other man said he was disgusted after seeing others write letters of support for Dekinga, which motivated him to speak out. He wrote in prepared remarks that Dekinga was a narcissist and a con man, to his family most of all. Mikrit said Tuesday he was pleased with the verdict, hopeful that it would protect Dekinga or protect other kids from Dekinga. Simon saw through the man's crocodile tears. Dekinga can obviously turn this persona on and off, he said. During the hearing, Boyles noted some who wrote letters for Dekinga later reached out to him after they got backlash when their support was publicized on social media. At least one person asked to take the letters offline, which he said he wouldn't do. What a hero. In 32 years as an attorney, Boyle said he had never seen this. About half a dozen people effectively withdrew their support letters. One woman wrote she talked about the Mike she knew in the past, but as a mother myself, loathed child sexual abuse. Boyles argued Dekinga was a complicated sum of very different things. He didn't make money off child porn. He never molested a child nor forced anyone to take nude pictures or videos. There was no evidence in a chat that the people he explicitly communicated with were actual minors. He asked for the minimum, which was 5 years. Dekinga, who spoke at length in court, said he and pornography have grown up together. Over time, he became an expert, he thought, of hiding his habit. He first saw pornography on a school bus at age 12. He claimed that his usage particularly expanded on work trips to Florida. Florida sounds familiar, and Canada. He used social media apps like Kik. Okay, he used Kik to see if a community existed. My crimes were not victimless, he said. He also apologized to his wife and children. His arrest was the end of my double life. I will never commit these crimes again, he told Simon. Morgan retorted to several of his statements. It was nearly impossible to make sure he was cut off from the internet with 7 children at home. One of the dozen or so victims said she had to relive the most horrific part of my childhood. Morgan said, quoting her, Dekinga should be judged for his actions when he thought no one was watching, the prosecutor argued. Part of the problems for investigators was that Kik chats were only preserved for 30 days. They don't know if he was talking explicitly to minors, but thought he was, she said. Authorities allege Dekinga's actions went back to at least September 2020, when the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, NCMEC, got their first cyber tip from a Kik account. Morgan told Simon that Dekinga was in Ottawa, Canada when NCMEC got that tip, so it was sent to the police there, not to Indiana. When we did get notifications, we acted quickly, she said. Eventually, Dekinga had up to 10 accounts, right? Dekinga had up to 10 accounts where he would share this child pornography. The social media service Kik attempted to play whack-a-mole. Federal charges span from November 2024 to May 2025. So what you're about to hear, think about this. What you're about to hear only occurred in a 6-month period or so, okay? 6 to 7 month period. Within 6 or 7 months, okay? The federal investigation started after NCMEC got a slew of cyber tips or online flags in June of 2025. Investigators found more than 600 images, with some including babies and toddlers, portrayed sadistic or masochistic conduct or other depictions of violence, including babies and toddlers in these sadistic depictions of violence. babies and toddlers. Dekinga himself uploaded pictures of himself partially nude. The victims got a life sentence of their own, often with harassment for both of them, their families, and unfounded reports sent to Child Protection Services, Morgan said in court. He was a master manipulator, she said. Morgan asked the court for 19 years. Simon said there were a lot of factors to weigh, but Dekinga's actions were vile, demeaning, and awful. The chats paint a picture of predatory behavior. What was going on in your mind, he said. It was clear Dekinga strongly suspected they were kids. In some chats, Dekinga spoke in sexual terms about his own nieces. One user asked if he spied on them. No, he wrote, but pool parties are fun.
Bruh.
All right. And another one. Let's read from this one. This is from the Roy's report. A really good article here. Thank you, Mr. Kellner, for this article here. It says, former seminary VP guilty of distributing obscene photos of children gets a 15-year sentence. Okay? There you go. That's your Chomo. That's your Chomo right there.
It was our job to help law enforcement.
Bruh.
Michael Dekinga, former vice president of advancement at Mid-America Reformed Seminary. Okay, a former seminary official received a 15-year federal prison sentence on Monday following his guilty plea of distributing child sexual abuse material. That's right, he pled out. Okay, remember as we've discussed all of these predators cases, especially from on the federal level, almost every time, I would say 85% of the time, they take the plea deal. So they plea out. So this is what this douchebag did. He pled out. He pled guilty for the lesser. Okay. So check this out with this Chomo. Distributing. His guilty plea was for distribution of child sexual abuse material. Dekinga wants the vice president for advancement at Mid-American Reformed Seminary in Dyer, Indiana, will also have to pay $50,000 in restitution to an unspecified group of victims. Morgan Swistek, a spokesperson at the U.S. Attorney's Office in Hammond, Indiana, confirmed the details to Roy's report via an email. Swistek later told TRR no appeal has been filed. Asked where Dekinga would serve his sentence, she said an FBI, the Federal Bureau of Prisons would decide. Sorry. TRR also asked who the victims were that would receive the $50,000 restitution ordered by the court. She replied, to protect the privacy and rights of victims, victim information is not public. Prosecutors had asked U.S. District Judge Philip P. Simon to sentence Dekinga to 228 months, 19 years in prison, followed by 20 years of supervised release. They argued that Dekinga posed a threat to children, including 7 of his own offspring who still live at home. And this here is the Mid-America Reformed Seminary in Dyer, Indiana. Okay, you see the seminary there? But Simon, appointed to the federal bench by President George W. Bush, gave a somewhat lighter sentence, a somewhat lighter prison term, and 15 years of supervised release. Officials at Mid-America Reformed Seminary, where Dekinga was said by prosecutors to have downloaded some of the sexual abuse material, did not respond to a request for comment. Now you see, so he's downloading this CSAM at the seminary. You can't make this shit up. Of course, officials at the Mid-America Reform Seminary, where DeKinga was said to have downloaded some of this, CSAM did not respond. Federal public defender Peter Boyles, who represented DeKinga at trial, said he is not interested in speaking with any reporters. Of course not. In seeking the near maximum sentence of 19 years, prosecutors said DeKinga distributed CSAM, often videos, to users of the Kick Messenger app to obtain more of the same. The files DeKinga distributed included depictions of sexual abuse of prepubescent children, including infants and toddlers. Okay? The government said the material totaled more than 600 images. Here's another article from bishopaccountability.org. Okay? Federal prosecutors seek 19-year sentence for Dyer man in child exploitation case. Michael DeKinga of Dyer faces a potential decades-long federal prison sentence after admitting to distributing child pornography over an extended period, according to court filings. Prosecutors are seeking a sentence of 228 months, which is 19 years in prison, followed by 20 years of supervised release, along with $47,000 in restitution, a $5,000 federal assessment, and forfeiture of a cell phone used in the offense. According to the government sentencing memorandum, DeKinga admitted to accessing child pornography for approximately 5 years and distributing the material between November 22nd, 2024 and May 14th, 2025. Remember, that's only the 6 months. Okay? So who knows what he did in the other 4.5 years? DeKinga was the vice president of advancement at Mid-America Reform Seminary in Dyer, Indiana. According to a statement provided to the Roy's report by the seminary's vice president of operations, Mid-America Reform Seminary cannot confirm that on the morning of August 13th, 2025, can confirm that on the morning of August 13th, 2025, agents of the Department of Homeland Security executed search warrants on the seminary's premises in conjunction with their investigation and the arrest of one of the seminary administrative employees. Again, the investigation began in June 2025 after multiple cyber tip reports were received by authorities. Investigators traced the activity to numerous messaging accounts linked to DeKinga, which were used to distribute, that's the key word there, distribute victim videos and images, often in exchange for additional illicit material. Court records state the activity occurred from multiple locations, including his residence, workplace, and while traveling. The material involved prepubescent minors, including very young children, and included content described as violent or sadistic. Investigators determined the volume exceeded 600 images under federal sentencing guidelines. Authorities also alleged DeKinga communicated with individuals he believed to be minors and others with access to minors, during which he solicited, so he communicated with minors and others with access while soliciting images and encouraging the production of additional CSAM. A federal search warrant was executed on August 13th, 2025. During an interview with investigators, DeKinga admitted to distributing child pornography using a messaging application and acknowledged long-term use of the platform. The pre-sentence investigation report calculated a total offense level of 37, including enhancements related to the ages of the victims, the nature of the material, the use of a computer, and the number of images involved. Prosecutors argue that the recommended sentence is warranted due to the repeated nature of the conduct, the severity of the material, and the need to protect the public and deter similar offenses. Okay? All right, so now we're going to move on to this announcement here. So this is from the DOJ, as you can see. This is your official press release here. Dyer man sentenced 180 months in prison for distribution of child pornography. April 27th, 2026, for immediate release. Okay, Michael Deckinga, 42 years old, of Dyer, Indiana, was sentenced by United States District Court Judge Philip Simon after pleading guilty to distribution of child pornography, announced U.S. Attorney Adam L. Mildred. Michael Deckinga was sentenced to 180 months in prison, 15 years of supervised release, in order to pay $50,000 in restitution to the victims of the offense. According to documents in the case, between November 22nd, 2024 and May 14th, 2025, Deckinga distributed child pornography and further admitted to accessing CSAM on Kick Messenger for approximately 5 years. The defendant was a wolf in sheep's clothing. To the public, Michael Deckinga presented himself as Vice President of Advancement at Mid-America Reform Seminary in Dyer, Indiana, dedicated to providing a religiously inspired education to Indiana's young people. Young people. But once behind the internet's veil of fake accounts on Kick, Deckinga betrayed his true self. He collected a trove of some of the vilest child pornography available. Look at that. Which he then distributed to like-minded users. Over the same period, he sent a host of graphic online messages to multiple purported minors to solicit additional child pornography. Thankfully, agents from Homeland Security investigations, okay, this is Homeland Security again. This is the feds coming and doing this. This ain't your locals. But your feds, working closely with partners in Indiana Crimes Against Children Task Force, uncovered Deckinga's crimes so that he could be held accountable by the federal justice system. I thank Homeland Security Investigations, the Indiana State Police, the Dyer Police Department for their excellent investigative work. I also thank Mr. Patrick Harrington's team from the Tippecanoe County Prosecuting Attorney's Office and AUSA Emily Morgan from the U.S. Attorney's Office for their excellent work bringing this case to a just conclusion. Their combined efforts show how effective Project Safe Childhood can be when its members work as a team and a predator is now behind bars. Homeland Security investigations will relentlessly pursue those who distribute, there's that word again, distribute, okay, child pornography and exploit innocent children. Our agents are dedicated to protecting the most vulnerable members of society and ensuring that offenders are brought to justice. We thank our law enforcement partners for their collaboration and remain committed to safeguarding our communities from these horrific crimes. Okay? So, let's move on. Let's move on because it gets worse. Let's see. Give me a moment here. There you go. So this is his actual indictment I wanted to go through with you guys. All right. This is his actual indictment. Now, it's interesting. You could, let me bring myself up here. Consider all that we just read. Okay. All that we just read. Over 600 images and videos of a horrific nature over a 6-month period. Okay, now let's read what this indictment says. The grand jury charges count 1, distribution of child pornography. And it gives the dates in the Northern District of Indiana and elsewhere. And it says Michael Dekinga did knowingly distribute child pornography as defined in Title 18 U.S. Code, okay, that has been shipped and transported using any means and facility of interstate and foreign commerce, and that in affecting interstate and foreign commerce by any means, including his computer. Okay, the allegations of count 1, and as you can see, count 1 is distribution, right? The allegations in count 1 of this indictment are hereby realleged and by this reference fully incorporated herein for the purpose alleging forfeiture to the U.S. Pursuant to Title 18 U.S. Code Section 2253 upon conviction of an offense alleged in this indictment. Defendant Michael Dekinga shall forfeit to the U.S. any property, real or personal, constituting or traceable to gross profits from other proceeds or other proceeds obtained from the offense, any property, real or personal, used intended to be used to commit or promote the commission of the offense, any property described below as a result or any of any act or omission of the defendant cannot be located upon the exercise of due diligence, has been transferred, sold, or deposited with a third party, has been placed beyond the jurisdiction of the court, has been substantively or substantially diminished in value, or has been commingled with other property. Okay? And it says here, joint stipulation as to restitution. That on January 21st, 2026, defendant entered a plea of guilty. He took the plea deal, right? He took the plea deal for distribution of child pornography on a federal level. He agrees to pay restitution to the victims in the amount determined by the court, but no less than $3,000 per each victim. Okay? $3,000 for each victim. We got $50,000. Okay? One group of victims in this case who wish to be identified as Allie, Audrey, and Layla have requested restitution from the defendant in an amount of $3,000 each. These victims, through their counsel, have informed the government that they agree to accept $3,000 each as payment of restitution from the defendant in this case. One victim in this case who wishes to be identified as Posey has requested restitution from the defendant in the amount of $8,000 and has informed the government that they agree to accept $8,000 as payment of restitution from defendant. Another group of victims in this case who wish to be identified as April, Maria, and Sloan have requested restitution from the defendant in amount of $10,000 each. These victims, through their counsel, have informed the government that they agree to accept $10,000 each as payment of restitution from the defendant. Defendant agrees to that payment of restitution to these victims is appropriate because his criminal activity in this case directly and proximately contributed to the victim's psychological and emotional harm. Defendant agrees that the restitution amounts specified above reflect defendant's relative role in the causal process that underlies the victim's losses. The defendant further agrees that each victim has incurred or is reasonably projected to incur losses equal to or exceeding restitution amounts specified above, and that each victim has not received restitution in the full amount of the victim's losses. Okay? The court orders the defendant, Michael Dekinga, to pay $3,000 each in victim restitution to victims Allie and Audrey and Layla, $8,000 in victim restitution to Posey, and $10,000 each in restitution to April, Maria, and Sloan for a total restitution amount of $47,000 payable to the clerk of court. Okay? All right. Now, here's your sentencing memorandum, and this is important, okay? This says, sentencing factors at the bottom of the page, family history. Michael Dekinga is 42 years old. He was born in Sterling, Illinois. He was adopted by Sandra Dekinga and Dirk Dekinga. Jr., both of his parents were active in his upbringing. Mr. DeKinga had a good childhood. Mr. DeKinga is married and has 7 minor children with his wife, Kimberly DeKinga. She remains supportive of him, and his incarceration will have substantial impact on his children as they depend on him for financial and emotional support. He has a close relationship with his immediate family and his extended family. They remain supportive of him. Mr. DeKinga also has the support of many friends in his church community. Offense conduct and prior criminal justice intervention. Mr. DeKinga has demonstrated clear and unequivocal acceptance of responsibility for his conduct related to this offense. When he was confronted by law enforcement, he acknowledged and admitted his criminal conduct. Mr. DeKinga does not minimize the seriousness of his offense conduct. He recognized that the distribution of CSAM causes real harm to real children. Mr. DeKinga realizes that his trading of CSAM with other offenders and engaging in sexually explicit chats with purported minors is unacceptable behavior that causes real harm. There's no evidence that Mr. DeKinga engaged in any hand-on sexual contact with any actual minor. In fact, he passed a polygraph administered by ISP Forensic Services polygraph examination report conducted shortly after his arrest. Mr. DeKinga did not trade CSAM for financial compensation, but rather traded it to be allowed into certain chat groups. He also did not coerce any minor to produce CSAM. Mr. DeKinga graduated from Christian High School in Palos Heights, Illinois in June 2002. He earned his Bachelor of Arts degree in history with minors in theology and business from Trinity Christian College. In 2006, Mr. DeKinga has a long and stable history of lawful employment, say his lawyers. At the time of the instant offense, he was Vice President Advancement at Mid-America Reform Seminary. He held this position for over 9 years. Mr. DeKinga held significant professional responsibilities, including developing resources, conducting fundraising activities, providing presentation at ecclesiastic assemblies. He was also responsible for maintaining relationships with donors to meet Mars' annual budget of approximately $2 million. Prior to his employment at Mid-America Reform Seminary, Mr. DeKinga was employed at Sherwin-Williams Paint in Illinois for approximately 10 years. While at Sherwin-Williams, he worked as an outside sales rep and store manager. Okay. He has no history of mental health issues or treatment. He's prepared to commit to counseling to address his addiction to pornography and understands dealing with the issue in an open and honest manner is key to future success. He has a limited history of alcohol use, no history of illegal drug use, began using alcohol at 18, continued to consume alcohol on a weekly basis until shortly before his arrest. Okay, never participated in substance abuse treatment. Okay. They go into risk assessment. We're going to skip over this. Nearly all child pornography cases involve images of prepubescent minors, 92.6%. And nearly all child pornography cases involve use of a computer, 97.3%. 75% of all child pornography cases involved 600 or more images. And over 50% of all child pornography cases involves material that portrays sadistic, masochistic behavior and violence. 50%. Okay? So that's from his lawyer. Now it only gets worse because I wanted to do this for you guys. You guys are not going to believe this. So that's from his lawyer, okay? That's trying to soften the blow on the part of his lawyer. But listen to this stuff, okay? To the honorable judge, Philip Simon. My name is Kimberly Joy Dekinga, a child of King Jesus, wife of the recently convicted and incarcerated Michael Brian Dekinga, and mother to 7 amazing children, or blessings. I met Michael many years ago when he visited my church. He was faithful in attending church morning and evening, week after week. He marched up to the fourth pew and sang with all his heart. He loved the Lord, valued family, and made me laugh and was a hard worker. I fell in love with him. We said our vows before our church and our family. Life was on its way. Soon after getting married, our first miracle was born. Michael held my hand, rubbed my face, stroked my back, breathed with me, and encouraged me as I labored. He never left my side, and after our joy was born, he looked in my eyes, both of us tear-filled, and said, I love you, she's here, you did it. We wept as we held our tiny baby. He loved me and her deeply. His actions and words reflected that. As a loving husband does, he changed diapers, rocked her at 2 a.m. when nothing would help her stop crying. The Lord continues to bless us with babies year after year. Both Mike and I acknowledge each child was a gift, a blessing from God. Mike's love for us grew deeper and deeper with each baby he brought into our lives. Mike went to work each and every day to support us. He worked hard. He showed up on time and did his work to the best of his ability. He had success receiving recognition of goals that were set and then reached with his job at Sherwin-Williams. He provided for kids and I's needs. While he financially supported us, he also spiritually led us faithfully, encouraging and attending Sunday worship in the morning and evening. Not only did he attend, but he participated and engaged in our church. He served the church by leading Bible studies, using his God-given gifts by playing the piano and trumpet regularly in church. He served in leadership roles as a deacon, where he helped congregate members in their physical and spiritual needs. He visited widows unable to attend worship, praying and encouraging them in their walk in life. His voice could be heard throughout the sanctuary when he sang, always singing from the heart. As marriage and life continued, I grew to love and respect Mike more and more. His calm demeanor towards people and situations helped me see situations and people differently. He saw people in a positive light, giving them the benefit of the doubt, grace and love. Taking the kids and I on vacation became a love of Mike's, but not any vacations, camping. First a pop-up and then a travel trailer. Mike was always responsible, never buying anything we didn't have the money for, and he dedicated himself to adventures that camping entailed. He was engaged and committed to the work of safely getting the camper down the road to the next amazing destination for kids and I. He planned hike after hike when we traversed through paths and endured through laughing and cheering us the whole way. At the end of a long day of hiking, Mike would get out the grill and make us dinner, followed by tucking all the kids into bed with hugs and kisses, never failing to have patience and telling them he loves them. In fact, just days before he was arrested, we had returned home from a 1-month-long trip out west. We called it the Rookie Mountain Rambling Road Trip. All intricately planned, thought through by Mike for us to enjoy together. He was disciplined and planned each camping spot, even where we would stop for gas along the way. We knew we were safe with him, trusting him always. Mike was a hands-on father and husband, involved in each of the kids' lives. He attended concerts at school, watched volleyball, basketball, made up cheers to encourage them. He accompanied them in fine arts at school by playing the piano. He coached the boys' baseball team. Ooh, that's rough. That's rough. So, preacher, deacon, coach. Oh, coached the boys' baseball team. Access to kids, and loved hanging with them, helping them get better, teaching them to never give up and to have positive, cheerful attitude in all what they did, in all that they did. When I write, he was the best husband and father. He really was. He loved deeply, cared genuinely, put us first, dealt with us calmly and graciously, worked hard to provide provide financially for us, was always pointing us to Christ, and he served those around him. August 13th, our world shattered. It doesn't make sense. We're confused, broken, and lost. The first phone call came from Mike. He said, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't touch our kids or anyone. Hour one, phone call one. Mike was and continues to be remorseful. Every visit, he places before me his remorse and sorrow for his sins and actions. His messages convey his hatred of what he was doing and of himself for making the choices he did. His remorse is constantly before the kids and I. While being incarcerated, Mike has been productive, writing many things. He writes letters every Sunday, one to each of the kids, one for the family, one for me, and sometimes includes one to give to family members or church friends. For the month of December, he wrote an Advent calendar devotional for the kids and I. He also wrote what we call daily doses of dad, which the kids and I read every morning before sending them off to school. It's a Bible verse and a short devotional encouraging us in the day ahead. We're currently reading a devotional he wrote called Lessons from Luke, taken from the book of Luke. He plans to send the next devotional for us to read for Holy Week coming up. He continues to lead and guide while he's incarcerated. The letters he writes and devotionals he writes lay before us his remorse and regret, his sorrow for his sins, but he also encourages us. Last Tuesday, Mike has asked if I would consider fasting with him to further deepen his relationship with the Lord, but also to learn to have self-control. As the groans of his stomach grow in the day he looks to Jesus, relying on God's strength, Mike is learning self-control and not to give in to his desires, but to look to God's desires. The kids and I support him as he refrains from his wrong and starts to live life differently. Not only do we support him, but many others do too. Monday is visit day, and Mike can have 3 visitors. 3 people, many different. Every week, works, friends, family, pastors, old friends, church, and family, all supporting him. And he continues to remain sorry and apologetic to each of them. He has accountability in these men and women. One man does a Bible study with him on the phone every week for an hour and visits him every month. He has friends holding him accountable with daily devotion, sharing thoughts and words of encouragement each day. Mike sends me a recap every morning of a devotional that we are reading together. He has a changed heart. His actions and words are showing the kids and I that over and over. His heart is turned from his evil, and he is fighting off what in the past entangled him. Praise the Lord. The kids and I miss him with every minute of every day and want him home. We do not know how to do life without him and don't want to. Okay. To Honorable Philip P. Simon, U.S. District Court Judge. My name is Sandra Dekinga. I am Michael Dekinga's mom. I've known him for all Michael Dekinga's life, which is 42 years. My husband and I could not have children on our own. We tried to have a child for 8 years. We received our son through the process of adoption. What a blessing he was from the beginning. Michael was always a very happy child with a vivid imagination. Michael would keep himself busy as a toddler for hours, walking around with his little suitcase filled with stuff while singing to his heart's content, knowing all the songs I played on the record player. Michael could sing all of the songs memorized. Michael would play for hours creating things with Lego blocks and other toys, using his imagination throughout. I was not a working mother. I felt my job was to stay home with my children and raise them. It was the most rewarding job I could ever ask for. Michael Dekinga and I did lots of things together. We'd go to the park, ride bikes together, etc. Michael loved the outdoors, especially the beach. Michael was very close with his dad, his grandpa. His grandpa would take him to the beach by themselves, quite often in grandpa's yellow Subaru. Michael called it the bumpy car. He would always come home asleep with his belly full of soft serve ice cream. Michael Dekinga loved preschool. I remember a time when Michael was in his preschool Thanksgiving program. Michael was alongside his teacher answering all the questions asked. Michael Dekinga was very comfortable in front of a crowd, saying all his lines as rehearsed. Michael was a beautiful singer, even at a very young age. Michael was not intimidated by his peers. He sang out loud with his fellow classmates, singing out with all his might to Jesus. When Michael DeKinga was a young child, he usually did what he was told and was a very happy child. He did not give me a hard time, most of the time obeyed me. Michael DeKinga was very musical. He learned to play the piano and trumpet throughout his grammar school years and had no problem performing songs at recitals and church services. He also played t-ball, baseball, and tennis. When Michael DeKinga went off to college, Michael was very sociable. Sometimes Michael had a hard time focusing on what he went to college for, but graduated with flying colors. In Michael's sophomore year of college, Michael took a job of resident assistant of his dorm floor. Another job was leading a group of residents in calling people for donations for his college. Both were demanding jobs, and Michael DeKinga took them on with responsibility. I feel I know Michael DeKinga pretty well as my son. He loved to goof around with me, trying to see how much he could pull my leg. Michael has, for the most part, been an honest and incredibly respectful person to the people he was in contact with. Michael went over and above to talk to people and loved to get to know them. Michael DeKinga is very well liked by family, peers at work, and friends. His loving personality came out with everyone that Michael met. Michael was very conscientious in his work habits. He was a manager at a paint store for many years. Michael worked long hours and worked very hard, putting through many orders on a small or big level. Okay. Michael DeKinga loved God and was not afraid to express to everyone that he was a child of God. He was a very good father to his 7 children. Michael and his wife would spend a lot of time with their children, getting involved in all their children's sports and musical concerts. They were never too busy to go to do devotions and bring them up in a godly manner. I've witnessed many times of Michael giving testimony of love. One of them, he was speaking at my dad's funeral, also his brother-in-law's funeral, who died at a young age. He spoke at his brother-in-law's funeral in front of many at his church and did it with an amazing grace. Another time, he was speaking as a guest speaker at his daughter's 8th grade graduation. He was never at a loss for words and expressed many loving comments to many on those occasions, whether it was a sad or happy time. He was such a gifted speaker. I hope that will be something he continue to do in the future. I will always love my son no matter what he did. They will always be the same. Michael DeKinga had such a wonderful and blessed life with so much going for him. Michael DeKinga is a man that did something terribly wrong. He's expressed to me many times how sorry he is. Michael DeKinga has also expressed how he feels God bringing him out of this time of being at the literal bottom spiritually, and has been lifted up by God's ultimate grace and mercy. I hope that you will also have mercy on him, Judge Simon. I can't help that God has saved his life by putting him where he is now. I just ask you to be lenient on him, on Michael DeKinga's sentence, so that he can be a father and husband once again to his family. Okay, that's Michael's mom. Okay. Public court document. I'm sharing this from a public court document, ladies and gentlemen. All right. And this one. My name is Dirk DeKinga. I am the father of Michael DeKinga. My wife and I adopted Michael when he was 10 days old. We decided to adopt since my wife and I were not able to have children of our own. Okay. Pride and joy, Michael DeKinga. I've known him my entire life. We raised him in the Christian walk all through his young life. My job demanded many hours away from home, sometimes literally from 3 in the morning until 6 at night. My weekends were free, making it easy to spend time with Michael DeKinga. We spent time together fishing and going to the beach. I also went golfing with Michael DeKinga in the summer when time allowed. The time I spent with Michael DeKinga was very enjoyable. Our family also spent vacation time 2 weeks each year in the summer at a cottage in Michigan fishing, boating, and just relaxing and singing lots of crazy songs around a campfire. Michael DeKinga was loved by everyone who met him. Michael DeKinga was involved in many church and school activities, such as Calvinist Cadet Corps, a group like the Boy Scouts. A group like the Boy Scouts.
Oh my God!
Bruh.
This is bullshit, Alado.
Okay, sorry. Sorry. Here we go. Getting distracted, but let's go back to it. Served in school activities and church activities such as Calvinist Cadet Corps, a group like the Boy Scouts, in which he earned the highest honor of Silver Star. He participated in the youth choir, playing trumpet, high school, college, in everything he experienced. Michael DeKinga showed care and compassion for others. Michael DeKinga is a caring husband and a father for his family, wherever the family had to be, Michael DeKinga was there. Okay. I've witnessed many times reading devotions to his family and also taking time to ask questions to the children about what he read to them. As far as I know, whatever the job Michael DeKinga held, he was a dedicated employee in getting the task completed in a timely manner. Michael DeKinga loved the golf fundraiser, which he was in charge of for his last employer. It was a challenge for him, and he enjoyed it. I do consider Michael DeKinga to be very honest and sincere. Michael DeKinga is a very law-abiding person. Michael DeKinga is also very generous with his time and talents that God has given him. I believe Michael DeKinga's ambition was to further God's kingdom through his work at Mid-America Reformed Seminary. Michael DeKinga devoted his time and energy in the fundraising for the seminary. Michael DeKinga tried to do his best. Michael DeKinga has never been afraid to speak in front of a large audience at his job and at other occasions. Michael DeKinga was the keynote speaker for his daughter's 8th grade graduation. I've been told of what Michael DeKinga has been charged with. It is so hard to believe that this could have happened. When I come to visit him in jail, Michael DeKinga has always shown remorse for what he has done every time. Michael DeKinga has asked for my forgiveness. I forgive him all the time, just as Jesus has forgiven every one of my sins. I've been praying in earnest that you will be kind and compassionate in your decision you will be making. Okay? All right. Judge Philip Simon, my name is Sarah Sullivan. I am writing to you on behalf of Michael DeKinga. I've known Michael for 35 years as his little sister. Okay, he's always this and that and the other, and I'm going to skip over this one. You can see it's nothing but flowery language, okay? Pouring out praise on Michael DeKinga. Okay, and then we got Michael DeKinga's brother-in-law, Sean Sullivan, married to his youngest sister. Okay, Michael DeKinga is a great guy. Okay, then we got a handwritten letter. Oops, sorry about that. Then my Michael's sister-in-law, Jennifer Bultema, writes, lauding the praise unto Michael. Okay, Sarah. Carl Bultema, brother-in-law. Okay, Keith Bultema, brother-in-law. Wendy Butler, brother-in-law, sister-in-law. Of Dave Apema, brother-in-law. Christy Bultema, okay, sister-in-law. Kurt Bultema, okay, brother or friend of the older brother, brother-in-law, something like that. Okay. Anyhow, Laura Bultema, okay, this is sister-in-law. Okay, this is Madeline Utenbogard. Okay. Niece. Dirk DeKinga, grandfather. Jerry Dijkstra. Okay. Uncle. Uncle. Um, David and Beverly Kramer, uncle and aunt to the wife. James DeVries, co-worker. Okay. David Burney, associate, close associate. Okay. Nathaniel Brummel, professor of systemic theology and New Testament at Divine Hope Reformed Bible Seminary. Okay. Currently serving as head of school at Crown Point Christian School, the head of school at the Christian school in Crown Point, where Michael's children are all enrolled. Okay? Okay, so this is the school principal or head of school, Crown Point Christian School. David de Grotenhuis. Here you have Nathan Lanning, associate. Okay. We have here James Iwema, a Trinity Christian College friend. Okay. You have Nick Ahrens, a bivocational pastor in a Christian Reformed denomination and business owner. Okay. Great friends with Michael Dekinga, writing in to speak up for him. Here you have Reverend Jonathan Allen, Christian minister. Okay. Reverend Jonathan Allen. Here you have Ed and Nancy Kawa. Okay. Here you have Nancy Guth, retired paralegal. Okay. Friend of the family. Nancy Guth. Douglas and Dawn Terpstra, writing on behalf of Michael Dekinga. Okay. Known him all our lives. He's a stand-up guy. Okay, here we have Todd A. Mottman, plumbing contractor, church member of Michael Dekinga. Okay. Right here you have ordained pastor at United Reformed Churches of North America. Okay. The pastor of United Reformed Churches of North America. Okay, writing in for Michael Dekinga. Okay. Here you have Reverend Nick Allens, pastor of Linwood United Reformed Church, concerning Michael Dekinga. Pastor Nick Allens. Here you have Nina Van Bruggen, or Van Bruggen, a family friend, church member of Michael Dekinga. Okay, here you have Andrew Van Milligan, member of Linwood United Reformed Church. Okay, acquaintance of Michael Dekinga. Here you have Brian Yonkman, retired IT professional, writing on behalf of Michael Dekinga, a church member at Linwood United Reformed Church. Here you have Cheryl Costely, okay, from the Linwood United Reformed Church. Here you have Alan Hoeksema and Carol Hoeksema, Okay. Church members, family, friends at Linwood United Reformed Church. Here you have Allison Ellens again. Um, she's the director of communications and events for the local Christian school. Here you have uh, Donald Zilstra, okay? Uh, part of the Linwood Church congregation. Here you have Johann Crickes, retired contractor, church member. Jim Crickes, church member. Here you have Charlene Rutter. I would assume a church member. It's hard to read this particular handwriting. Okay. Here's you got some family shots, public court document. Here you got Christian Shute, a retired employee of the Southwest Chicago Christian School. Okay. Southwest Chicago Christian School. All right. So what am I getting at here? Nearly every family member, nearly every pastor he's interacted with in all of these places, whole bunch of friends from church, a whole bunch of church members, they probably asked the congregation, everyone write in letters for Mike, we'll take the best ones. Now let's remember what we're talking about here, okay? Okay, what we're talking about here, let's see if I can, which one I'll pull up. Yeah, remember this guy? Okay. Michael Dekinga. The files Dekinga distributed included depictions of sexual abuse of prepubescent children. Sexual abuse of not just nude children, sexual abuse of prepubescent children, including infants and toddlers. Sadistic. Okay, sadistic. Here we go. Federal prosecutors allege he traded child porn online in the Kick app for at least 5 years and had sexually explicit conversations with at least a dozen minors. Okay? Authorities allege that Kinga's actions went back at least to September 2020 when the NCMEC got their first cyber tip on him. Okay, so going back 5 years, Dekinga had up to 10 accounts as Kick attempted to play whack-a-mole. Okay? Investigators found more than 600 images, some including babies and toddlers, portrayed sadistic depictions of violence. Dekinga uploaded pictures of himself partially nude, right? The material involved prepubescent minors, including some very young children, and included content described as violent or sadistic. Investigators determined the volume exceeded 600 images just in the 6-month period. That's who all these people are calling in, writing in letters for. Ministers, pastors, deacons, principals of schools, Christian schools. Did you just, why do you think I went through that document for you? What pastor would write a letter for him? What teacher would write a letter for him? What principal or director of a school would write a letter for him? What family member would write a letter on his behalf? What church member would write a letter for him? But it's right there before your very eyes. Okay. Now, it's going to get worse. Okay, it's going to get worse. Let me pull this one up. Just a moment, please. Okay. Now, we're not even done yet. Okay, this says FBI Boston. And you're going to see why. You're going to see why here. Okay. FBI Boston. As a result of an FBI Boston investigation, interesting, FBI Boston, Paul McDowell Jr. of South Bend, Indiana, has been sentenced to over 7 years in federal prison after he admitted to possessing child pornography, committing aggravated identity theft, and unauthorized access. Mr. McDowell first came on the FBI's radar during its investigation of former Northeastern University track coach Steve Waith. Listen to this. Mr. Paul McDowell first came onto the FBI's radar during its investigation of former Northeastern University track coach Steve Waith, who was sentenced to 5 years in prison for sextortion, cyber stalking, and cyber fraud schemes targeting over 100 women. Whoa. Paul McDowell, or Dowell Jr., was a hacker for hire who violated the privacy of dozens of women, stole their personally identifiable information, and subjected them to sustained harassment, shame, and even blackmail. Also, he would boost his confidence and make a few bucks. To make matters worse, the FBI found tens of thousands of images and videos of child sexual abuse material on his devices.
Oh my God!
Tens of thousands? The FBI found tens of thousands of images and videos of CSAM on his devices. This guy didn't just break into computer systems, he broke young people's lives, violated their privacy, and today's sentence will keep him locked up for a good long time so he can't harm anyone else. Okay? Here's your guy. Okay? South Bend man, Paul McDowell Jr. South Bend man sentenced for possessing tens of thousands of child sexual abuse material, images, videos. Paul McDowell Jr. worked as a hacker for hire. Hacker for hire. Okay? Hijacking social media accounts of young women. Of course, like I told you, all these chomos pled guilty to possession of child pornography, right? Took the plea deal. He took the plea deal. This is May 1st. This is only 5 days ago, everybody. Only 5 days ago. This is breaking news. Okay? South Bend, Indiana. A 29-year-old South Bend man will spend nearly 8 years in prison after the FBI said it found tens of thousands of images and videos of CSAM on his computer and cell phone. McDowell was sentenced in federal court Thursday to 94 months of prison, followed by 5 years of supervised release. He was also ordered to pay $66,000 in restitution. The sentencing comes after he pled guilty, to possession of child pornography, aggravated identity theft, and unauthorized access to a computer. According to the U.S. DOJ, McDowell was a hacker for hire and would hijack online social media accounts of young women in exchange for money from third parties. Investigators said he used victims' personal information to gain access to their online accounts and download private photos and videos and sharing them with other people online. According to law enforcement, McDowell's electronic devices and computer accounts contained more than 3,000 images and 3,000 videos of child sexual abuse material. Bruh. All right, and here's your release from the DOJ here, where it says South Bend man sentenced to 94 months in prison for possession of child pornography and aggravated identity theft. Paul McDowell Jr., 29 years old, of South Bend, Indiana, was sentenced by U.S. District Court Judge Damon Lichty after pleading guilty to possession of child pornography, aggravated identity theft, and unauthorized access of a computer, announced U.S. Attorney Adam L. Mildred. McDowell was sentenced to 94 months of prison, followed by 5 years of supervised release in order to pay $66,000 in restitution. The defendant was a hacker for hire, all right, and would hijack the online social media accounts of young women in exchange for money from third parties. Evidence showed that he illegally obtained and used victims' personally identifiable information to gain access to their online accounts and download private photographs and videos. He then exploited those victims, this is sextortion, by sharing the private photos and videos with other people online. The defendant boldly attempted to hack into at least 37 different victims' accounts. Thanks to the vigilant efforts of our partners at the FBI, again, remember I told you, this is always coming from the top down. This ain't coming from Indiana. Okay. Partners at our FBI as part of Project Safe Childhood, the law enforcement team executed a search warrant at the predator's house and recovered his computer and cell phone. The defendant's computer and accounts contained more than 3,000 images and 3,000 videos of child sexual abuse material. Our nation's children are safer with him behind bars. Paul McDowell was a hacker for hire who violated the privacy of dozens of unsuspecting young women, stole their personally identifiable information, and subjected them to sustained harassment, shame, and even blackmail. Also, he could boost his confidence to make a few bucks. Oh, to make a few bucks. So he's selling this, right? Selling it, because the only way he's making a few bucks is if he's selling it.
This is bullshit, Alado. Bruh.
Says FBI. To make matters worse, the FBI found, listen to this, the FBI found tens of thousands of images and videos of CSAM on his devices. That's right. It wasn't just 600, right? It wasn't just 3,000. Tens of thousands. Read it from the DOJ, right? The FBI found tens of thousands of images and videos of child sexual abuse material on this South Bend, Indiana, Paul McDowell's devices, right? The guy didn't just break into computer systems, he broke young people's lives, violated their privacy, and today's sentence will keep him locked up for a good long time so he can't harm anyone else. Okay, now interesting here, check out this tidbit. This case was investigated by who? By who? The FBI, Boston and Indianapolis, right? Do you see anyone else here? FBI, Boston, FBI, Indianapolis. Okay, Paul McDowell. Now, interesting about that. Oh, sorry. Got another one. Interesting about that is this right here. Hey, here's his indictment. All right, let's read his indictment. It says Paul McDowell Jr. resided in South Bend, Indiana. Okay, y'all get ready for it. I'm about to do the party horn because I got to wake everyone up because we've been talking about kick for the entire 2 hours. Well, listen to this. Snapchat. That's right. Snapchat was an American multimedia instant messaging application based in Santa Monica, California. Okay. On or about October 10th of 2020, Paul McDowell Jr., through October 13th, Paul McDowell Jr. intentionally accessed a computer without authorization that belongs to Snapchat and thereby obtained information for purposes of commercial advantage and private financial gain. Count 2, aggravated identity theft. Okay. On or about October 10th to 13th of 2020, he did knowingly transfer, possess, and use without lawful authority a means of identification of another person. Okay, in violation of Title 18 U.S. Code. Possession of child pornography, count 3, on about November 15th, 2023, in Indiana. Paul McDowell Jr. knowingly possessed material that contained an image of child pornography, okay, involving a prepubescent minor and a minor who had not attained 12 years of age. Upon conviction, Paul McDowell Jr. shall forfeit to the United States of America any property, real, personal, constituting, or derived from proceeds obtained as a result of these offenses. Any personal property used or intended to be used to commit these offenses. Not limited to the following electronic devices and online accounts, okay? HP laptop, Apple iPhone, Omen laptop. Any property cannot be located, has been transferred, has been placed beyond the jurisdiction, substantially diminished, or commingled with other. The U.S. shall be having the right to forfeit, okay? Now check this out. United States Court versus Paul McDowell. Conditions of release. The defendant must not violate any federal, state, or local law on release. The defendant must cooperate with the collection of DNA samples. The defendant must advise the court. The defendant must appear in court as required. This is 226.26. Okay? 226. Probation, pretrial services. Released after processing on 9/12/2025. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so you got another Chomo here. You see, he's it appears here that he's arrested 8/29/25, right? The document we just read was from 9/12/2025. So he's released. So this Chomo appears to be released. On probation, pretrial service. Okay. But he takes the plea. He takes the plea deal. Paul McDowell Jr. Okay. I've told my lawyer the facts and surrounding circumstances. I believe that I feel my lawyer is fully informed. I understand I am entitled to have all my rights. I understand I have a right to plead not guilty. Constitution guarantees me the right to a speedy and public trial, the right to be released on bail until my trial occurs, the right to see, hear, cross-examine witnesses against me, okay, right to use power and processes of the court to compel production of evidence, right to assistance of counsel, right to not testify in the event that I should be found guilty, right to appeal. I understand that if I plead guilty, I waive the right to trial by jury. I understand if I plead guilty, I waive the right to be charged by way of indictment. Notwithstanding the above, I have, with the assistance of counsel, entered into an agreement. And the agreement is this: I agree to plead guilty to count 1. I am in fact guilty of count 1. I also agree to plead guilty to count 2. I'm in fact guilty of count 2. I also plead guilty to count 3, which charges me with possession of child pornography. I understand that I'm in fact guilty of the offense charged. I understand that in the court, in order for the court to accept my guilty plea, the court must receive what is called a factual basis. Okay. Here's the factual basis. I'm a resident of South Bend, which is in the Northern District of Indiana. I wish to acknowledge that Snapchat was an American multimedia instant messaging application and service based in Santa Monica, California, offering its users the ability to store images and videos within their Snapchat accounts. I admit that from October 10th, 2020 to October 13th, 2020, while in South Bend, Indiana, I intentionally accessed a computer without authorization, specifically computer servers belonging to Snapchat. I do not dispute that the computer I accessed was a protected computer, in particular that it was a computer which was used in or affecting interstate and foreign commerce. I admit that I obtained information from this protected computer by accessing the Snapchat account of victim AC and obtaining the personal images and videos of victim AC. I then sold the images and videos of victim AC to another person in exchange for $20. I admit I did the same activity with regard to at least 16 other victims by intentionally accessing the Snapchat accounts of at least 16 other victims and obtaining the victims' personal images and videos. Okay, I admit that I knowingly used the means of identification of victims, including victims' usernames, passwords, phone numbers, Snapchat accounts. I admit that from October 10th, and Snapchat accounts from October 10th to 13th of 2020, when I accessed Snapchat servers, I knowingly used victims' AC's username, password, and phone number and the Snapchat account without the knowledge, authority, or permission of AC. Okay, I admit that I obtained the information of my victims, including AC, for private financial gain. I knowingly possess visual depictions that contain child pornography. November 15th of 2023, I knowingly possessed on my cell phone and Mega account, okay, cell phone and Mega account, more than 600 images that depicted minors engaged in sexually explicit conduct, including images of prepubescent minors or minors who had not yet attained the age of 12 years old. I knew that both the images depicted one or more minors and that the minors were engaged in sexually explicit conduct. I admit and agree that I received the images over the internet. Therefore, the images were shipped or transported in or affecting interstate or foreign commerce by any means, including computer. This is his plea agreement. Okay? I'm going to skip ahead all of that because I just wanted you to hear the meat of the matter there, what it was. Now, we're going to move to this, which is the important thing, okay? We'll go quickly through this. This is a sentencing memorandum, okay? The government is asking a recommended range of 132 months followed by 24-month sentence, along with a term of 10 years and restitution. Okay, so check this out, okay? Bottom of the page. So we already know that he was distributing this CSAM, but listen to this. In this particular case, Mr. McDowell operated a Kik account with the username nudity is normal. Okay? From that username, he distributed CSAM, sending a group administrator of a CSAM sharing group a 1 minute and 50-second video depicting an adult male engaging in sexual relations with a prepubescent female child, estimated to be between 8 and 12 years old. The distribution of this video was done as an offer to prove to gain access to the group. In other words, the distribution was done in order to obtain a thing of value, namely access to the group and the other CSAM offered by the group. Okay, when sending the video, Mr. McDowell also sent a photo of himself, which is often a component of an offer of proof. After sending his photo and video, Mr. McDowell sent the message, "There you go." In response, Mr. McDowell received a thumbs up emoji from the person who had received Mr. McDowell's messages. Accordingly, Mr. McDowell distributed the CSAM for a specific purpose of obtaining something of valuable consideration, and the 5-level enhancement applies. That means that the admission to the group. Now remember, you guys remember, I did a show on the 764 maybe 6 months to a year ago. Remember with 764, same deal. You have to give something. The way the 764 group was operating, you have to give something that they can use as blackmail. So you have to give something up like that, along with your identity, for admission into the group, which is exactly what this guy did. Mr. McDowell, right? Exactly what he did. That reeks of 764 modus of operation. Mr. McDowell was first identified through investigation and prosecution of a defendant named Steve Waith in a case from the U.S. District Court for the District of Mass, U.S. versus Steve Waite. Okay. Mr. Waith was convicted for a scheme in which Mr. Waith obtained nude, semi-nude, and revealing photos and videos of young women along with some of their personally identifiable information, and then engaged in cyber stalking these victims. Mr. Waith obtained these photos from computer hackers offering their services on the internet. Bruh. Including the defendant in this case, Mr. McDowell. In 2020 on various websites, Mr. McDowell advertised his services in hacking victim Snapchat chat accounts.
It was our job to help law enforcement.
I'm legally blind.
So he advertised his services across the internet about his ability to hack victim Snapchat. Mr. McDowell frequented various online forums where sensitive personal information of victims, such as nudes and people's personal identifiable information, was shared without the victim's knowledge or authorization. One example of Mr. McDowell's post is one entitled Snapchat Rips, In the post, Mr. McDowell said, I am able to rip nudes off Snapchats if you give me the username and email address. I should say it doesn't always work, so no charge if I fail. We'll send you the wins as a mega link, $25 per account, $100 for 5. When advertising his hacking services, Mr. McDowell used an online alias of Mr. Robot. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Bruh.
Bruh.
Robot, robot 213. Yeah, I know about that. In October 2020, Mr. Waite saw one of Mr. McDowell's advertisements and contacted him. Mr. Waite provided Mr. McDowell with the names of at least 31 young women. Mr. McDowell agreed to hack their Snapchat accounts for $20 per victim. Mr. McDowell successfully hacked the Snapchat accounts of 2 of the victims. Obtaining compromising nude or semi-nude images and videos of the victims. He then shared the photos and videos with Mr. Waite through a mega account after Mr. Waite paid Mr. McDowell. Mega is a cloud computing and storage platform that can be used for storing and sharing files over the internet. Investigators determined that Mr. McDowell received hacking requests from at least 10 other people on the internet, and that he hacked or attempted to hack at least 37 different victims' accounts. Mr. McDowell maintained the files jobs.txt and morejobs.txt on his laptop, where he tracked requests and successful completions by putting winner and some luck next to victim identifiers. Furthermore, investigators identified more than 12 files on McDowell's computer that contained millions of account and password combinations. In several cases, McDowell changed the email address and telephone number in victim accounts to accounts he controlled, thus taking over the accounts so that the victims could no longer access them. This method provided him with a means of accessing the accounts in the future, and in some cases, the persistent access continued for years. Okay? Mr. McDowell's hacking victims were all young women. Okay, in November 2023, investigators searched Mr. McDowell's residence and seized his laptops and iPhone. Investigators examined McDowell's devices and eventually identified a set of mega accounts controlled by McDowell. One of these mega accounts, investigators found more than 2,400 images and more than 400 videos of young women whose accounts had been hacked, either by Mr. McDowell or someone else, representing approximately 22 identified victims. Investigators also found CSAM on Mr. McDowell's devices and in his mega account. In particular, investigators found more than 3,000 photos and 3,000 videos of child sexual abuse material. These images depicted minors engaged in sexually explicit conduct. Some of these images depicted prepubescent minors and minors who had not yet attained 12 years of age. In fact, some of the images and videos depicted infants and toddlers involved in sexually explicit conduct.
It was our job to help law enforcement.
Mr. McDowell possessed approximately 225,300 images of child sexual abuse material. That's 250,000 CSAM images.
Bruh.
Which is about 375 times the amount accounted for in the sentencing guideline range, which is only 600 images. Additionally, investigators revealed that in September 2022, McDowell distributed CSAM to an online group where users would distribute CSAM as described above, McDowell sent the group a selfie photograph and a CSAM video as an offer of proof to gain access to the group. The video was 1 minute and 50 seconds in length and depicted an adult male engaging in sex with a prepubescent minor. So it goes on to describe about his plea agreement. Okay. You can see here it's giving commentary on the sentencing. Okay. Now, you'll see here, this is the sentencing memorandum. I'm just going to quickly go through this. They're asking for a 5-level enhancement. Oh, I wanted to draw your attention down to the bottom, okay, of this page number 3, I believe it is. Check this out from the bottom of page 3. Mr. McDowell joined a Kik messaging group. Okay, remember the others, right? This is a different guy. Mr. McDowell joined a Kik messaging group.
Oh my God!
That the FBI suspected of distributing child pornography among its members. Okay. Excuse me. And it goes into the details of this, which I'll have for you if you need it. Okay. I want to read this page here. Let's see. It says at least 11 clients used his services, including one who was eventually convicted of a scheme exploiting women. McDowell successfully hacked 22 accounts of victims. He tried to hack another 15 accounts. In several cases, he altered emails or telephone numbers of victims to take over the accounts. Over time, he collected over 2,400 images and 400 videos of girls and women, some nude, even some semi-nude, and some clothed but underage. Separately at home, he got hooked on pornography, sought out more extreme material, and ultimately amassed child sex abuse material. The same devices he used to hack accounts, he used to stockpile the equivalent of roughly 228,000 images, dwarfing the average and eclipsing any other offender the court has ever seen. Save for one, a truly astonishing outlier. This doesn't happen overnight. One doesn't just wake up one day and through mere impulse have thousands of images and videos. His archive victimized infants, toddlers, and prepubescent minors. More than that, he joined a group to engage illicitly with others, perhaps feeding both his prurient interest and desire to belong. He proved willing and able to share, and he sent at least one video, though seemingly not more, before his arrest. He has had appropriate adult relationships. Physical predation was not of interest or aim, nor was there any such history or likely risk. But there was something sinister and vulturine in all that he was doing in hacking accounts and amassing child sexual abuse material. In scale and likely duration, this is in certain measures a more serious case of possession than usual. Okay? In addition, at least 44 statements explain the abuse, anguish, and trauma revisited by seizing or viewing child pornography. With each image of thousands, Mr. McDowell re-victimized an innocent child. He understood what it means to be vulnerable, but he chose to not extend that same understanding or grace he want others in our community. He has high intellect, just like Mr. Dekinga, and low impulse control. Carbon copy of Michael Dekinga, right? He might appreciate rules and consequences abstractly, but display marked deficits in applying that knowledge to regulate his own behavior in real time. Okay? Anyhow, they go on to lay a case, and let me see. And you can see that this is your last page here, signed by Judge Damon Lichty, May 1st, 2026. I highly recommend, if you want to read that, just send me an email. But that's Mr. McDowell, okay? South Bend. Mr. McDowell of South Bend. This was just 5 days ago. And we're not done yet because there's another. So just give me a moment. I'll pull up the other one. All right, guys. So now we got Jonathan Wesley Petronell. Check this one out. Fishers Police Department on October 23rd, 2025. Jonathan Wesley Petronell was arrested on 7 felony counts related to child sex crimes, including child exploitation dissemination, a level 4 felony. Petronell, a resident of Pendleton, Indiana, was investigated by the Hamilton County Metro ICAC Task Force after receiving a cyber tip from, drumroll, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Remember, I said this is always coming down from up top. Isn't it interesting? The cyber tip was submitted by Snapchat. Oh my God, another Snapchat. Oh my, where is it? Hold on. I got to press the button. Oh my God. Snapchat. Okay. Snapchat showed 5 files of suspected child sexual abuse material involving prepubescent children once again. Once again. Okay. Detectives with Hamilton County Metro ICAC Task Force served a search warrant on the suspect's Snapchat account, where more CSAM was discovered, along with evidence that Petronell was disseminating videos to other users. So he's disseminating CSAM videos to other Snapchat users. A search warrant was conducted on his residence where further evidence was located showing that he possessed over 200 files of CSAM. Some of this included sadomasochistic child abuse, children that appeared to be drugged and intoxicated while being abused, child molestation of a violent nature, and photorealistic AI-generated photos of nude pregnant toddlers. Do you guys see a pattern here? Are we seeing a pattern in these guys? Let's see. CSAM, right? Sadistic. Children drugged and intoxicated, being abused, violent molestation, photorealistic AI, Kick, Snapchat. Pertinel is being held at the Madison County Jail. Okay? Now check this guy out. Jonathan Pertinel. Okay? Jonathan Pertinel. Child exploitation, F4. Possession of CSAM, F5 times 6. Dissemination, F5. Possession, F6. Okay, now check this out. Son of pastor. Son of pastor pleads guilty to child exploitation charges. January 20th, 2026. This is this year. Jonathan Pertinel, okay, a Pendleton man has entered a guilty plea or guilty pleas to several charges involving children. Jonathan Pertinel, 24, of Pendleton, was arrested in October and entered pleas of guilty Friday in Madison Circuit Court Division 6 to charges of child exploitation, 2 counts of child possession of CSAM, 1 possession of child sexual abuse material. Pertinel is the son of Nathan Pertinel, the lead pastor of Life Church, an Assemblies of God affiliated church with 4 campuses in central Indiana, including one in Pendleton. Oh, sorry.
This is bullshit, alive, though.
Bruh. Pertinel is the son of Nathan Pertinel, the lead pastor of Life Church, an Assemblies of God affiliated church with 4 campuses in central Indiana, including one in Pendleton. Okay, through plea agreement, Pertinel is facing a maximum sentence of 4 years. According to a news release from Hamilton County Metro Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, an investigation into Pertinel began after a cyber tip was sent to the task force from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Great job. Great job. MEC continuing to just get these guys. The tip submitted by Snapchat reportedly showed 5 files of suspected sex abuse material involving prepubescent children. Law enforcement officials obtained a search warrant for the Snapchat account, which reportedly uncovered more CSAM, as well as evidence he was disseminating CSAM videos to other users.
Bruh.
According to court documents, Pertinel belonged to a Snapchat group. Here it is, Diddy's Disciples. And law enforcement found chat logs that were allegedly between Pertinel and another user where alleged distribution of files occurred. Pardon me. The release states that during a search of Pertinel's home, further evidence was found in relation to the investigation, including more than 200 files of CSAM. This included AI-generated photos. Law enforcement officials conducted an interview with Pertinel. The document said that when he was told that officials were investigating child exploitation and child pornography, Pertinel, quote unquote, requested to speak with an attorney. Okay. And this is another article from this time from WTHR. This says 24-year-old Pendleton man sentenced after police find more than 200 files of child sex abuse materials. Jonathan Pertinel was sentenced to 6 years with 4 at the Indiana DOC, 2 years suspended to formal probation. Okay. Madison County Prosecutor's Office said a judge sentenced Pertnell of Pendleton to 6 years Friday, February 13th, with 4 years of it at the Indiana DOC. Judge also ordered standard probation and sex offender terms and conditions. And it gives you the same we've already read, the background. Okay. Investigation began after Hamilton County Metro Internet Crimes Against Children got a tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And Fox covered it as well, saying Diddy's disciples, Pendleton man, gets 4 years after investigation finds over 200 child sex abuse material files in his home. Okay, and there you go. That's Jonathan Pertnell, son of Nathan Pertnell, Assemblies of God pastor. Okay. You can see he got child exploitation, level 4, 2 counts of possession of CSAM, level 5, possession of CSAM, level 6. Okay, and here is his, I think this is it here. This is his sentencing order here. You see he got plea by agreement and the judgment for each. He's got count 1, child exploit, felony 4, possession of CSAM, aggravating factor, felony 5, aggravating factor, another one, felony 5, and possession of CSAM, felony 6. All pled out, right? Total length of sentence, 6 years. And that's it, okay? So ordered this 13th day of February, 2026. So, I often talk about recognizing patterns here. Patterns. Recognizing the patterns. What are the patterns? We've been here 3 hours now. What are the patterns you all have heard in the past 3 hours? I'll leave it. Let's have the chat chime in here. What are some of the patterns? Now, it's been 3 hours. We've gone through a handful of these pieces of shit. What are the patterns we can identify and take away at this point from these pieces of shit that we just spoke about the past 3 hours? What are some of the patterns? I'll start with the first pattern. Okay, the first pattern I'm going to put in the chat, because this is the I guess the bright side. There's only one bright side, and this is the bright side. Okay. NCMEC brought down all of these. Okay, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children forwarding these tips on down, some of them to the feds, some of them on down to the counties. Okay, so first bullet point is we all need to be supporting the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. They're doing good work. They're forcing these locals to take care of this. So I guess that's my first point, is NCMEC has been doing outstanding work here. Remember, all of these cases, they just go back. All of this we've heard about has just been the past handful of months, okay, that we've covered. We've covered a lot of Chomos. Remember, we had McDowell, we had Dekinga, we had all of the other ones. I can't remember all the names. Jesus, man, thank God too. But what are some other patterns other than the feds or the NCMEC bringing all these to our attention and to the locals' attention so that these chomos can be pulled off the street, right? I'll let you guys chime some in, and I'll fill in at the end if which you don't. But Snapchat and pastors, yeah, Snapchat, and I would say Kick. So let's put Kick in there. Snapchat, Kick, pastors, churches, access to children, right? They're all religious. Yeah. Many of them coming from religious families, right? Uh, Organizations or groupings that are sharing this material and creating the economy. Remember, this is largely about an economy. This is an economy, right? Uh, they're all religious. Some are hackers. Some hackers in there. That's how they're getting some of this stuff. Criminals by proxy. Right? Like I said, this is an organized economy. It's a scheme. Protection of Chomos. Yeah, remember the release? How many of these guys that I read to you were released after their arrest? Okay, they're released out on bond. By the way, one of these guys in the Greek mafia bust that I just read to you in the previous live stream, he's already been released on bond, right? They're all releasing these guys on bond like it's nothing. Kind of like they did, well, they're all covering it as short sentences. Yep, short sentences, plea deals, released on bond. Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Christina. Absolutely. Absolutely. Half of these individuals were utilizing AI to facilitate this. They were creating it with AI. And remember, when we're going to talk about Adam Bridge was using AI to modify and create images as well, right? It's always pastors, law enforcement, coaches, teachers. They have access to kids through jobs. Yeah, good. Thanks for mentioning that. That's in the thumbnail. Dropbox. Dropbox, we've said before, and I think people miss this sometimes. Dropbox doesn't have to mean literal a Dropbox account that is a literal Dropbox account. Dropbox is sort of a metaphor for the the internet or cloud sharing and storage and transacting of this material. So when we say Dropbox, we might be literally talking about Dropbox as an app or as a service. But as you saw in these aforementioned cases, the Kick was used as a Dropbox, right? Kick. Um, Snapchat is used as a Dropbox, right? Dropbox is used as a Dropbox. This mega platform was used as a Dropbox. It's basically all in the cloud. It's all in the cloud. It's virtual file sharing, Dropbox, for lack of a better term. So yeah, they're all Dropbox related. File sharing. Thank you, Pishi. Yeah, file sharing. And half of these guys made bond and just walked on out, right? And then they stretch this out as long as humanly possible, and then they plead guilty for the lesser time because they know they're caught. So they stretch it out. This is kind of the game, right? The game is they bond out, then they're out free. As long as humanly possible, they stretch this process out. And at the last possible moment, they go ahead and plead guilty. Um, there was another point that I wanted to make in the patterning, but now I forget it. So if I remember, I'll come back. But moving on, here's what I do want to talk about: bonds being reduced, and let out. So let's talk about this right here. Let's see. Okay, shout out! It's a new day. Now, it's a new day made it a post that is extremely alarming and infuriating, and that is, it's a new day says many of us had questioned who paid for Adam Bridges' release. Now, come on back to Delphi. Adam Bridges' release with a $50,000 cash bond that was issued upon his arrest for 78 Class 5 felony CSAM charges. Judge Shane Evans, okay, remember the judge on Adam Bridges' case is Shane Evans.
Oh my God!
Nephew of convicted pedophile Travis Lee Evans,
Bruh.
reduced Adam's bail. They sure do love their pedophiles in Carroll County.
It was our job to help law enforcement.
Abigail Williams and Liberty German were surrounded by these monsters. R.I.P. girls. I'm sorry you weren't cherished by those who should have protected you both. Okay. Now, what is she talking about? Adam Bridge release. Bond was reduced during an initial hearing in Carroll County Circuit Court before Judge Shane M. Evans, and a pretrial services report was filed. Adam Bridge was released after the bond was reduced by Shane Evans in Carroll Circuit Court. Bridge was initially held in the Carroll County Jail on a warrant before posting the cash bond, according to reports in the Carroll County Comment. And this is my case, okay? So you go over to his my case. Sure enough, okay, let's look at this. Adam Bridge, right? Adam Bridge. Represented by the state, the state McClelland. Okay, so this is McClelland and Diener and Shane Evans. Nicholas McClelland, Stacy Diener, and Shane Evans. Nicholas McClelland, Stacy Diener, and Shane Evans of Carroll County. What do we have here? Look at these charges, y'all. Look. Every single one is an F5 felony. Okay, look at this. Look at it. Look at that. You see that? Do we see this? Every single one. 78 level 5 felonies here. $78. And look at this. April 16th. Okay, April 16th. He's arrested. Case opened. April 16th. Okay. You can see Shane Evans, right? Shane Evans. You see? Come on, I'm not making it up. Shane Evans. Okay. Look at this. Bond form filed on the 20th. Right? There's some hearings. See the hearings? Initial hearing, order issued. Shane Evans, Adam Bridge, Stacy Diener. Okay? So Adam Bridge is walking the streets of Indiana right now, out on bond on a reduced bond, paid in cash, reduced by Shane Evans under the guidance of Nicholas McClellan, and Stacy Diener. Right? And unfortunately, I refuse to give these people my money, but I just want you to see that I'm not lying to you. Look at this. Look at it. Carroll County Comet, right? April 29th. There you go. Carroll County Comet. Can you guys see that? Florida man released on bond after arrest on 78 F5 felonies of CSAM, child exploitation. Florida man charged with 78 felony counts in the child exploitation case appeared in Carroll County or Carroll Circuit Court on April 20th, where an indigent defense attorney was appointed. Bond was reduced and a trial schedule was set. Adam Bridge, 40 of Florida, is released. Adam Bridge is released on bond. That was reduced. I mean, and look down here in the corner, you can see Florida man released on bond after arrest on 78 felony counts. That's him down there where I'm running the mouse. See down here at the bottom right-hand corner? Bottom right-hand corner. Florida man released on bond after arrest on 78 felony counts. Florida man released on bond after bond was reduced. Delphi, more Chomos in Indiana. That was your show for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Breaking news. Breaking news. A whole bunch of Chomos. And Adam Bridge is a free man. 78 F5 felonies. So I really don't have much more to say after that. I'm pretty upset. My throat's pretty shot, and I'm just in disbelief. I'm in disbelief that Adam Bridge is walking the streets of Indiana right now because someone reduced his bond and someone else went and paid that reduced bond. And that's your Delphi case. It always gets worse. Anybody with more information on this, you want to send it to me? Please send me an email. I'd love to hear your emails, especially if you're local to the area and you know more about this bond reduction and who paid the bond to get this monster out on the street. Okay, 78 F5 felonies. Guaranteed, if it were your child, bond wouldn't be released. They wouldn't be out. Okay, so how does Adam Bridge get that bond paid? where he can be out here. I don't know. Maybe ask McClellan, Nicholas McClellan. Maybe ask Stacy Diener, or maybe ask Shane Evans. Let's ask Shane Evans, Nicholas McClellan, and Stacy Lynn Diener how in the hell Adam Bridge gets out and why the hell his bond was reduced. But um, I hope you enjoyed, for lack of a better term, tonight's presentation and then kind of a survey of some of the Chomos in Indiana in the past 6 months. Um, it's been a lot, right? It's been a lot. I can't even remember the names and charges of the first 3 or 4 we did because that was so much to go through. But it's pretty damn concerning. And I guess I would say the bright side is the NCMEC is doing great work on sending these on down. And unfortunately, it appears that the locals are doing a terrible job at convicting these guys because they're giving them all plea deals. They're giving them short amounts of time, and they're releasing these motherfuckers on bond. But I guess it's all in who you know. It's all in who you know. Remember, this is family. This is family. This is the family. This is the good old boys of Central Indiana. Uh, we've been seeing this. So anyway, shout out, okay, to It's a New Day. Thank you, It's a New Day, for making us aware of Adam Bridges' release. Shout out to Erica Morris for a couple of these documents regarding Mr. McDowell, Mr. Pertnell, and Mr. Dekinga. Um, and shout out to everyone in the chat, especially my mod, Deb. Thank you, Deb, for being here and helping out with that. Um, thanks to everyone. Look, I apologize. I have not been feeling well. I've been feeling pretty rough the past week. Haven't been feeling very well. So, trying to get all of this taken care of, and it was a lot to gather. But thank you for being here and putting up with it. Anyway, I know it was a laborious presentation. Hopefully, I'll be feeling better soon, and hopefully the future content will be less disgusting. Okay, I don't want to be looking at any more Chomos. I'd prefer to be talking about Richard Allen and the news in general and the financial news because I really do wish that all of you would go subscribe to my other channel because I believe we're entering a period where there are going to be some very newsworthy um, happenings in the financial markets. I'm anticipating the escalation of oil, a 30 or 20% drawback in the stock market, and a gradual breakout in the crypto market. So I'm going to be looking at the financial news on the other channel, and we're going to keep covering the news here. And I appreciate seeing everyone here. I love you all so much. Thank you for being here. So let me put some comments on as we leave, and I'll see you guys Friday night, hopefully. I'm aiming for a Friday night show if I feel good enough. So hopefully that happens. All right. So shout out to Mustang. What up, Mustang? Um, thanks for subbing to both channels. Violets and Grace. Good to see you. Yeah, great question. Who did pay that bond for Adam Bridge? The community wants to know. All right, David Rogers. What up, David? Good to see you. Thanks for being here, David. Artist formerly known. What up? What up? Thanks for being here. Shout out to you and It's a New Day. Thank you, Deb, for modding. All right, what's up, Carol? That's Carol there. Hey, Carol. Peachy. What up, Peachy? All right. David Rogers says, make me want to puke. Swade Smith, good to see you. Yeah, exactly. Stricter penalties for marijuana than being a chomo. Mm. All right. Let me see. Is something going wrong here? Hey, Deb, you have any problems in the chat tonight? All right. All right. What's up? Mandy Boo is here. Hey, Mandy Boo. All right. Good to see you. And hey, anyone I missed, just drop your name down below. I see Matt Payton's here somewhere. What's up, Matt Payton? Okay, Swade Smith, thanks for the super chat. Look, Save Children from Satanists and a membership. Thank you very much, Swade Smith. Critter Mamo's here. What up, Critter? What's up, Old Caresto? All right, good to see you all. Heavy Metal Rehab was here. What's up, Heavy Metal? Glad to see you. Critter Mama, Swade Smith. Appreciate all of you being here. Okay. All right, I don't want to miss anyone. Fur Baby Daddy, what's up? Or Fur Baby-ish? Okay. Thank you for saying feel better. I'm trying. Thank you, Christina. Christina was here. All right. All right, so we are done. We are done. So I guess I have one more message for my final message for you guys tonight, especially if you're in Indiana. It's this one.
Well, obviously we have a rapist in Lincoln Park. He's climbing in your windows. He's snatching your people up, trying to rape them. So y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband because they raping everybody out here.
Bruh.
It was our job to help law enforcement.
I'm legally blind.
This is bullshit, Alado. Bruh.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Prof is a fucking terrorist, a fucking pedophile, sympathizing fucking terrorist.
It's not productive, it's kind of gross and icky, and I feel like it tells us more about them than the people they're trying to degrade. They're always trying to degrade someone.
Prof is a fucking terrorist.
Fuck you.
It's not productive, it's kind of gross and icky.
Prof is a fucking terrorist.
Bruh.
It was our job to help law enforcement.
Fuck you.
Prof is a fucking terrorist.
Bruh. Oh my God. This is bullshit, Alado. Bruh.
This stuff's coming to a close. There are more than one person involved with this case. It's not just Richard Allen. There's several others, and we've all seen them on TV and been interviewed and spoken about way back in the beginning. Law enforcement has known about these people, but they have to methodically build a case.
It was our job to help law enforcement.
Bye, you fucking hoe.
you.